Formula One powerboats are sleek, glamorous, lightweight, and extremely maneuverable, with a power-to-weight ratio among the highest in all of motorsports. Their performance speaks for itself. Acceleration from 0 to 100 miles an hour in under 5 seconds. Top speeds in excess of 120. Cornering at 100 miles an hour, all while pulling 7 Gs in the process. The competition begins with a field of 20 boats lined up in the start pontoon. Engine silent, awaiting the modified Le Mans start. When the green flag drops, these world-class drivers ignite their rockets to life. Engines roaring and rooster tails flying, they simultaneously accelerate towards the first turn. With tight courses close to the shoreline, made up of right and left-hand turns that offer deck-to-deck, heart-pounding action and guarantee fans up close and front and center views, no 2 laps are the same due to the ever-changing wind and water conditions, making the F1 boat one of the most challenging racing machines to conquer on the planet. Founded in 2017, the Formula One Powerboat Championship is an 8-race series contested across North America, featuring weekend-long community events highlighted by the Formula One boats and supporting classes. U.S. powerboat racing's 120-year heritage began with the formation of its governing body, the American Powerboat Association. For the last 6 decades, Formula One powerboats have been the pinnacle classification in powerboat racing. Recognized as one of the world's most spectacular racing vehicles, these events have evolved into more than a series of one-day races, developing into marquee, multi-interest, weekend-long community festivals, producing some of the largest entertainment events in major markets, attracting tourism dollars, benefiting the local economies, while delighting the global audience. Large on-site event attendance is coupled with mass media exposure through various channels, regionally, nationally, and globally. Our live streaming programs give each event international reach on various social and traditional channels, reaching millions of fans. Our marketing partners enjoy outstanding return on investment with our unique sport and custom flexible approach of the Formula One Powerboat Championship.
Oh, look out, we got a fall over. Oh, they somehow stayed it.
Welcome, race fans. My name is Kay Brewer. I'm here at the 2024 Port Neches Riverfest, right here on the shores of Port Neches. It's going to be a great weekend of racing with our 3 different styles of boats. We're going to have our Formula Ones, speeds of over 125 miles per hour. Also have our Formula Lights. They're going to have about speeds of about 65 miles per hour. And then we're going to bring in the Tri-Hulls. As you can see, the weather has been a little iffy this weekend. This morning we woke up to thunder and lightning. It cleared a little bit, but now it's starting to come back. We're hoping to have this subside just enough so that we can give you all the action-packed racing that you're ready to see this weekend.
Yeah, welcome race fans to the opening round of the 2024 Formula One Powerboat Championship Series. Thomas Yarborough, the noise of the north, as I have been here every year of the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series existence. But I got a new partner in crime here in 2024. Kay Brewer out of Seattle, Washington, joining me. Kay, great to have you on the show here in 2024. Really excited for what we're going to give fans here in 2024.
Exactly. We talked about it earlier this morning. The weather has been iffy, but look, the sun is coming out just in time to go racing, boys and girls.
Absolutely. It seems like that's always how things work here. We get typically torrential downpour the week before. It was no different this year. I think upwards of 10 inches of rain in like less than 12 hours in the greater Houston area. We're just outside of that. The ground's a little soggy, but the fans are happy, and the racing's going to be loud here at the opening round of 2024.
I've been having so much fun, Thomas. I've been going up and down, talking to all these fans and spectators. I got myself some friends down here in the end. We're working on getting the wave going every time I go by.
Hey.
They're excited here on the beach as we are excited to get you a great performance. These drivers, look at them. They are out here on the water ready to go. Scary Jerry on his way out on the water right there in number 10.
Hey, 80 years young.
Yes.
Jerry Rinker, multi-time tri-hull champion, out here looking to be the first octogenarian to be an APBA national champion. Can he do it? Hey, I wouldn't put it past him. What a great thing the Port Neches Riverfest is here in its 23rd annual edition. I mean, I walked down the midway. I think I gained 12 pounds just smelling the food. I mean, gator on a shrimp, stick on a shrimp. They got gyros. They got fried everything. Lemonades, limeades. I mean, it's Texas, right? Everything's bigger in Texas. The food is bigger. The food is better. What a great place it is. And I love kicking off our season every year right here in Port Neches.
Well, did you make it past the food to go see the carnival rides? I mean, how much fun is that? Could you imagine all of us boat racers out there with our fans all joining together on those?
Well, I the rides for sure, but I picture the midway, right? Could you just see like drivers lined up, like they're like $80 in because the other driver beat them at like the the ball toss and won the bigger stuffed animal, right? But that's the great thing about the Riverfest. There's something for everybody, right? From your 2-year-old kid to your 80-year-old grandmother, everybody can have fun. They've got activities here. I saw Superman. I saw Rapunzel. There's face painting. I saw a guy cracking bullwhips that I thought he hit somebody. He popped the whip so hard. I mean, there's great vendors here. You need a pair of sunglasses with the sun coming out. Hey, we got $5 sweet specs out there in the midway. It's just a great place. The whole communities of Port Neches, Groves, Nederland, everybody just ascends down here to the Neches River to see this unbelievable weekend packed full of boat racing, concerts, and all the other great things that this place has to offer. And, the reason we're here, though, is our sponsors, right? Here on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series, we wouldn't have been able to do it without them. First and foremost, Mercury Racing. They're committed to the pursuit of wide open, accept no boundaries, and accept no compromise. Mercury Racing, the leading provider of high-performance marine propulsion systems for discriminating boaters around the world. Learn more about its wide-open line of outboards, stern drives, and propellers for performance boaters or race teams at mercuryracing.com. JH Performance Boats, custom handcrafted shallow water bay boats built with the highest quality materials. Seaway Marine, your one-stop boat motor shop. VP Racing Fuels, the fuel choice of champions for decades. You can now benefit from their expanded line of performance additives for your boat, daily driver, or weekend warrior. Racing Communications, their radios for racing. Kicker, Marine Audio. And Seabold Sports, world champion powerboat racing since 1939. All right, Kay, it looks like we've got them lined up side by side. We're going to go bumper boats at 65 miles an hour. You're going to see these nut jobs banging 4, 5, 6 wide in the corner. We run them just like they do in NASCAR, side by side. Inside the row 1, looks like that's one of the Rinker contingencies here in the Texas Tri-Hull class. They're 3 deep, and boy, Mason Rinker won the Tested Tune in Freeport last weekend. I think this might be the year of the Rinker in Texas Tri-Hull.
That was his very first, so that is what he has to contend with. He's got his brother, he's got his grandpa, he's got all the other fast drivers out here. The Tri-Hulls, the first time I ever saw them, I went, what is this? And then I saw them on the water, and I said, this is the best.
Absolutely. Maybe dating myself. For those of you who remember those Tri-Hull Glastrons from the 1970s, we put decks on them, we put roll cages, we slap 100 cubic inch OMC, and these things rip around at 65-plus miles an hour. And this is going to be heat 1 of 4 that will set our starting grid for the 20-lap main event in the Tri-Hull class tomorrow afternoon. All points are crucial. Let's see what's going to happen here in heat number 1.
And the 54 on the outside going to charge hard. You're going to see him go side by side with Mason Rinker or Tanner Rinker, and they're going to fly down into that first turn.
As they work their way down the front stretch. Now here comes the 88 of Josh Wells and the 63 of Aaron Green, and there's the mullet machine in that bright kaleidoscope of colors, the 69 of Cole Mullet wearing down at 5th as they get wadded up down in the middle. Oh, look at there, the 17 of of Neil Marsh, our two-time defending champion, gets wadded up, and he's sitting back in 7th here early in heat number 1.
Grant Schubert starting to make his way up into the top 2 and 3. He's making his way on the inside, and Grant ties it up with the mullet on the 69.
Oh, what a great move there by the 88 of Josh Wells. The elevator technician from Richmond, Texas, has squeezed his way out in front past the number 52, and we've got a new leader here in the opening heat of Texas Tri-Hall.
But don't give out on that Tanner Rinker. He's going to slide his way through turn 1, but here comes young Grant Schubert along with Cole the mullet in the 69.
And then the 17 of Neil Marsh has now made his way up into the top 5 as he's pushing hard to try to get past the 69 of Cole Waring. But there's the 88 of Josh Wells. Oh, getting it way up on its tail there was the 52 of Mason Rinker going wide to the out. On the outside there, now he sweeps it, cutting off the 13 of Grant Schubert. And that's what this is all about, is really washing out your opponents right behind you in the corners. It seems to kill all their speed.
Hey, they're going 3 wide across the start-finish line. On the outside, in the 13, is Grant Schubert. Neil Marsh, he's going to sneak right in the middle on there in the 17, but taking away that inside lane. Going to be Cole the mullet in the 69.
And he's got the target on his back. Look at a great move there by the 17 of Neil Marsh. He goes down to the inside, and he moves up 2 places, up into 3rd. He's now on the podium and tracking down the 52 of Tanner Rinker. He is just an unstoppable force trying to go for the three-peat in 2024. What an amazing driver he is behind the wheel of a Texas Tri-Hall.
Looks like Mason Rinker, unfortunately, having some troubles in that 37, going to swing way wide. But Neil Marsh, he's able to get through the pack, and he's got his eye on that first-place podium position.
And, you know, this is a place where the 88 of Josh Wells has been before. He's seen his rearview mirror jammed up with the 17 blue and orange of Neil Marsh, and he's just going to hope to have to find that clean water. But he got a great battle now for 3rd. On the inside, it's the 13 of Grant Schubert with that 4-stroke Mercury outboard on the back of that Texas Tri-Hall. 1 of 3 here in 2024 as that 4-stroke package continues to grow year over year.
And it looks like a great move by Rinker in the 52, but here comes Grant Schubert, just about rolls that thing over. But these things, they take a lot of beating, and they keep on ticking. Here comes the mullet in the 69, quick.
As our leader makes his way down out of turn number 1 and 2, that gap between him and the 17 of Neil Marsh continues to close. There's the 13 of Schubert, followed by the 52 of Rinker and the 69 of Waring as they push their way down the back straightaway. Our leaders looking to get down into the north end of the course of turn 1. Look at how tight that gap is. The 17 of Neil Marsh is on a mission. We have never had anybody go back to back to back. Heck, he was the first one to go back to back. Can we have a 3-time champion into Texas Tri-Hall? If the 17 of Neil Marsh has anything to say about it, we absolutely will.
Looks like Neil Marsh has got the punch out of the corner. He seems to catch right up to Wells, but he goes a little bit wide out in turn 1 one more time. He's going to have to crank that a little bit harder because here comes Grant Schubert.
Yeah, and he just missed right there. Bad turn by the 17 of Marsh. You see that gap grow again, back out to about 4 boat lengths between him and the 88 of Wells. 1.5 seconds behind our leader, the man who got out in front early, was able to get by the 54 of Darren Ware. And here's the white flag. Go fast, turn left just 2 more times. Can the 88 of Josh Wells hang on?
I don't know if Josh Wells knows how quickly Marsh keeps jumping up on his inside. We'll see if he makes a slingshot move to jump on the inside of Wells, and he sticks to the outside. But here comes Grant Schubert in the 13. Cole Mullet in the 69.
And the 17 of Neil Marsh kind of has his patent move where he goes wide into the entrance and then sets it tight off the exit so he can chase him down the back straightaway. We got a battle for our top spot here in the opening heat of Texas Tri-Hall. The 88 of Josh Wells goes down into the north end of the course, slides wide to the outside. Now here comes the 17 of Neil Marsh, tucking down to the inside, holding on for the checkered flag by a nose. The 88 of Josh Wells, then the 17 of Neil Marsh, and rounding out the top 3, the 13 of Grant Schubert. Boy, he so narrowly almost had that. I think he started like 9th or 10th in this 14-boat field. Pretty impressive, I think. But that's what the 17 of Neil Marsh brings to Texas Tri-Hall. He's a consummate professional, and what a phenomenal driver he is behind the wheel of that blue and white machine. A big shout out to all the great sponsors for the 17 of Neil Marsh: the Maple Grill, Sefton Financial, Warden Brothers Farms, Riversong Lodge, Best Automotive, B-Blades, Studio 46, Grandpa's Garden, J. Marie's Salon, and MP Solutions, Timberwood Antique Mall, and Klotz Lubricants. Man, he's got every sponsor that you could bring from the great state of Michigan down here to Texas, and I'm going to let you go so you can go have a chat with our winner in heat number 1 here, the number 88 of Josh Wells. And while we have her go chat with our winner, the 88 of Josh Wells, hold on. Am I seeing this correctly? Okay, it looks like so. It was so close that the 88 of Josh Wells, for a second there, I thought the 88 of Josh Wells somehow got knocked off by the 17 of Marsh, but by a nose, the 88 of Josh Wells. And who's out there sinking? Okay, it looks like I can't tell who that is down there on the south end of the course, but we had a boat capsize, take on quite a bit of water, and they're going to have to tow it out there. As you can see, I'm trying to see who that is. I can't see the number on the boat. That could possibly be the 52 of Tanner Rinker. We got rookie there in 2024, the DD1 Andy Miller out of Disney, Oklahoma. Him and Aaron Green both coming from the great state of Oklahoma here this weekend to come down and race with us. Excited to have Andy and Aaron Green with us, along with this large contingency from Texas running in the tri-hull class. But what an unfortunate turn of events for the young man who started in the top three and now finds himself wet with that boat taking on a severe amount of water. But what a great run it was there for the 88 of Josh Wells. We're going to see here in just a moment, we're going to be sending it down to Kay Myers Brewer to have a conversation with the 88 of Josh Wells and what it was like to hold off the hard-charging 17 of Neil Marsh. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break here. The great folks here at the Port Neches Riverfest have some phenomenal sponsors, and they've been good to us as well. Let's take a quick break and say thank you to the great sponsors of the Port Neches Riverfest.
Mercury Racing was forged in the heat of competition. The will to win is in our DNA. Competition isn't just what we do, it's our proving ground. It's about the pursuit of power, performance, and endurance that pushes our limits and yours. We create premium marine power to take you faster and farther. The world offers limits. Mercury Racing offers freedom. Live wide open.
Save this spring at Classic Kia and pay nothing till summer. Save thousands on the new Forte for only $19,596. Or the award-winning Sportage for only $26,875. Save today, pay nothing till summer. Only at Classic Kia.
We know how important it is, being neighbors. When we go to work every day, we're working for our families, for our schools, our kids, and local businesses and neighborhoods. For Southeast Texas, our roots are strong, and we're moving forward, innovating world-class financial tools for the folks here at home. We live local. We give local. And we're not going anywhere. Neches Federal Credit Union. Family, friends, community.
Bring the whole family out and enjoy 5 days of fun on the river when Neches Federal Credit Union presents the Port Neches Riverfest. May 1st through May 5th. Enjoy live thunder on the river powerboat racing at its best. From the banks of the Neches River at Port Neches Riverfront Park. Check out 5 days of carnival rides and daily ride wristbands available. There will be live entertainment, great food and drinks, games, and fun for the whole family. It's the Port Neches Riverfest, Wednesday, May 1st through Sunday, May 5th. For more info, visit pnriverfest.com.
All right, well, we're getting our winner, the 88 of Josh Wells, off the water, and have a chance to chat with my colleague, Kay Myers, about his victory in heat number 1, holding off the 17 of Neil Marsh, which is a hard thing to do. You're talking about the back-to-back series champion in Texas Tri-Hull, but the 88 of Josh Wells was able to run that 100 cubic inch Johnson OMC on the back of that 88 machine all the way to victory and hang on. It's got to be he's got to be very excited. It was a rough 2023, both racing-wise and personally for the 88 of Josh Wells. It was a rough year, and I imagine he is glad to be into 2024 and put that racing season behind him. So that's the first of our 4 Texas Tri-Hull heats. Let's take a look at our final order. In first was the 88 of Josh Wells. In second, the 17 of Neil Marsh, followed by the 13 of Grant Schubert. In fourth position is Cole, the 69 of Cole Mullet Waring. And then his other teammate, we got 3 Outlaws team members finishing third, fourth, and fifth. In fifth, the 26 of Briston Sherman. In sixth, the number 5 of Ruben Stafford in that Backwaters Bar and Grill opening this winter in Houma, Louisiana. New venture for the 5 of Ruben Stafford, as well as Formula 1 driver 03 Dustin Terry. In 7th position, out of Disney, Oklahoma, in that DD1, the Andy Miller. And then right behind him, the 10 of Scary Jerry Rinker. In 9th, the 54 of Darren Ware. In 10th, the 63 of Aaron Green. In 11th is a brand new rookie driver running for Captain Marks out of Freeport, Texas, the number 6 of Gerald Shelton. In 12th, the 56 of Clint Dillard. In 13th, the 37 of Mason Rinker. And in 14th, the 52 of Tanner Rinker. So after domination at the Test and Tune in Freeport, Texas last weekend, the Rinker clan struggled mightily here in the shores of the Port Neches Riverfest. Right now, I'm going to turn it over to my partner, Kay, for an interview with our winner in heat number 1, the 88 of Josh Wells. All right, well, the 88 of Josh Wells, looks like, I apologize, we had some technical difficulties there, but ecstatic as I'm watching here from our live stream. Ecstatic was the 88 of Josh Wells with being able to hold off the 17 of Neil Marsh. It's not an easy thing to do, and he was very happy to be able to pull that off here in Heat 1. But like we're going to see in all of our racing here this weekend on the Formula 1 Powerboat Championship Series, now the 88 of Josh Wells has to go last off the start pontoon in heat number 2. That means he's going to be outside of row 7 in this 2x2 format here in the Texas Tri-Hull division of the Formula 1 Powerboat Championship Series. My partner Kay making it back here after chatting with the 88 of Josh Wells. But we're now about to bring out the first half of our Formula 1 class. For those of you who've joined us for years here at the Port Neches Riverfest, since the inception of the Formula 1 Powerboat Championship Series, we have split our fields in qualifying, right? We do it for 2 reasons. One, you put 15-plus boats all together on the course together, there's bound to be prize. Not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, right? So we split them up for safety purposes, 1. 2, right? It allows them to get used to it, and it creates some great competition because, the guys in Group A don't really have a reference point of how to race those in Group B until the final. So I absolutely love the dynamic that it infuses into our racing series as Kay joins me back now, making it up on the judges' stand. Oh, I just found out we got to change a course here. It looks like we are going to run all 15 at the same time, all 3 qualifying heats. That is going to be a doozy here in Formula One. That's going to make that's going to make it real tricky, but it's going to add a whole other element to the drivers. Right now they know, hey, I can't finish first if I don't first finish, so I got to get to the final. So that may mean that they're not going to leave it on the ragged edge as hard now, right, for fear of crossing that line.
These are boat racers we're talking about here.
Fair.
You know better than that. We watched them just during testing yesterday, and a couple of them I was like, simmer it down, boys. This is just testing. And then we saw qualifying. Then we saw more testing, and they were just riding it. We almost saw a couple of them crash out in turn 1 and 2. That is going to be the focus of this race. Not only the start, but turn 1 and 2. That has been a challenge.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's going to be, right, once you get settled into, understanding who those maybe top 3 or 4 from a setup perspective have it really dialed in, I think that's going to be your difference between them. The difference between the guy who finishes first and the guy who's off the podium on the outside looking in is going to be how they navigate the south end of the course, especially turn number 2. It's always treacherous. It's always going to be treacherous. And I think with the volume of water that the river has taken on in the last 24 to 48 hours, plus with the wind direction, I completely agree with you. I think that's going to be the game changer for whoever can navigate the best. Will probably be dragging the biggest piece of hardware back home to their respective states when this weekend's over.
Well, we've talked about it. You talked about the river is rising. That gives you a couple different currents. As a driver myself, I've always had to think about not only the aspects under the water, a.k.a. the current, but the water aspects above the water. So you may have a current dragging you backwards, and then all of a sudden you're going to come head on into a nice breeze, I guess you could say right now. It's been nice. It's been a nice breeze.
Absolutely.
And then that is actually going to lift the front of the boat up, while meanwhile the prop's getting turned around the other way with the current. I mean, you got all this stuff going on when you're inside the boat, and you have to think fast.
Absolutely. And somebody who can give us even a better insight and better perspective than you and I is current APBA president and the driver of the Michelob Ultra Machine out of Paw Paw, Illinois, the number 62 of Chris Fairchild. This is what the 62 of Fairchild had to say about the water specifically here in Port Neches this weekend.
Okay, so water depth is a huge thing when it comes to a boat racing race course. Dirt depth on a dirt track and blacktop depth doesn't affect a car nearly as much as water depth. The surface is reasonably controlled by what's going on the bottom. So the faster the current, the more the surface changes. The slower the current, the less it changes. Here, because we've had torrential downpours for quite some time, the water is moving extremely fast, which would typically make the surface a very rugged surface because anything that's on the bottom affects it. This is a very deep shipping channel. It's 70, 80, 90 feet deep through here. So all that ruggedness on the bottom, first of all, the container ships scrub it smooth, but it's so deep that it doesn't really affect it. The biggest weather that affects this race course is the wind. It typically doesn't affect turn 2, the one up here, because that one usually lays pretty flat. But turn 1 can get rough, ugly, and nasty when the wind is up, and that's when it becomes fun. Wind is the other factor that boat racers have to worry about. It depends upon which way it's coming. It depends upon whether it's gusty, whether it's consistent. And I like a tricky course. It's a lot of fun.
All right, that was the 62 of Chris Fairchild, the man running for Michelob Ultra here in 2024. We're going to get these boats loaded into the water, and we'll get ready to roll with the first heat of qualifying here in the Formula One class, the 2024 Port Neches Riverfest, the opening round of the 2024 Formula One Powerboat Championship Series.
Formula One powerboats are sleek, glamorous, lightweight, and extremely maneuverable, with a power-to-weight ratio among the highest in all of motorsports. Their performance speaks for itself. Acceleration from 0 to 100 miles an hour in under 5 seconds. Top speeds in excess of 120. Cornering at 100 miles an hour, all while pulling 7 Gs in the process. The competition begins with a field of 20 boats lined up in the start pontoon. Engines silent, awaiting the modified Le Mans start. When the green flag drops, these world-class drivers ignite their rockets to life. Engines roaring and rooster tails flying, they simultaneously accelerate towards the first turn. With tight courses close to the shoreline, made up of right and left-hand turns that offer deck-to-deck, heart-pounding action and guarantee fans up close and front and center views, no 2 laps are the same due to the ever-changing wind and water conditions, making the F1 boat one of the most challenging racing machines to conquer on the planet. Founded in 2017, the Formula One Powerboat Championship is an 8-race series contested across North America, featuring weekend-long community events highlighted by the Formula One boats and supporting classes. U.S. powerboat racing's 120-year heritage began with the formation of its governing body, the American Powerboat Association. For the last 6 decades, Formula One powerboats have been the pinnacle classification in powerboat racing. Recognized as one of the world's most spectacular racing vehicles, these events have evolved into more than a series of one-day races, developing into marquee, multi-interest, weekend-long community festivals, producing some of the largest entertainment events in major markets, attracting tourism dollars, benefiting the local economies, while delighting the global audience. Large on-site event attendance is coupled with mass media exposure through various channels, regionally, nationally, and globally. Our live streaming programs give each event international reach on various social and traditional channels, reaching millions of fans. Our marketing partners enjoy outstanding return on investment with our unique sport and custom flexible approach of the Formula One Powerboat Championship.
All right, race fans, our final few boats are getting in the water. We're going to run all 15 of these Formula Ones. 6 minutes plus 1 lap here on this 4-pin, 3/4-mile course on the shores of the Neches River. Sorry, we had some technical difficulties there a little bit with our PA system. We had some radio interference the guys had to fix out. Looks like they've got it knocked out here. All right, Kay, let's talk about who we think is going to do what. Let's take a look at this F1 lineup here for the opening heat. A little bit of a surprise because he's in his backup boat, but your pole sitter for here in Heat 1, none other than 52, Chris, the real deal Rinker.
I'm not so surprised because he came off of 23 with win after win after win, a record course, and, you know, he's out here to win again because he wants to keep that Rinker boat world right out in front in the 52.
Well, that's the one thing he didn't do last year. The one thing was win the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series.
Stay right side up to do that.
Fair, right? We just saw that spectacular blowover
yeah.
From Grove, Oklahoma in 2023. That was the real linchpin that got pulled out on his entire season. But he's going to start here on the pole. Coming second off the dock, I would say those in the tunnel boat community are going to be surprised. Those in the hydroplane community are not surprised at all. This kid seems, and right, he's not a kid. He's
not a kid
an adult,
anymore, but yeah.
But I mean, he's just a big hairy American winning machine. Whatever he does,
mustache.
Yes, right. Whatever he seems to get behind the wheel in, he is successful at. He's won an H1. We're talking 30-foot long turbine-powered boats that do 200 miles an hour. Grand Prix hydroplanes, right? They've got blown car motors in the back of a boat. Kneel-down hydroplanes, and now it's his time to tackle tunnel boat racing. What an impressive run for that Phenom Ventures number 14 of Andrew Tate.
Yes, and you know, last year was his rookie year, and he did take a little bit of a tumble out in turn 1, but when I talked to him about it, I said, welcome to tunnels. He goes, I think I got that trim thing figured out. And I said, well, you have to remember the trim is the only way around the course. You don't have that 3-foot turn fin to help you get around. He goes, you know what? Practice makes perfect. He goes, I got this thing figured out. And I was like, oh, you're Andrew Tate, so I'm sure you do.
Yeah, and, you know, for some of them, right, that, you know, the translation from one to the other is real simple. For others, it's not so much, but clearly for the 14 of Andrew Tate, who starts second here in our opening qualifying heat, the transition is easier than it has been for most. Coming third off the start pontoon, right, better than last year where he kind of struggled a little bit in that Phase 3 performance team. The Outlaw team got one of those Phase 3 boats. Snap-on's the sponsor here in 2024, Jeremiah Mayo. Jeremiah, the Jeremiah, get out of my way, Mayo, coming third off the start pontoon as a part of that outlaw F1 racing team.
Well, the fun part about the story with him is he didn't even know he was driving this boat until this morning, or yesterday morning, when he walked in the trailer. He goes, "That's not the boat I signed up for, but I'm game. I like that one. Let's go for a ride."
Yeah, I mean, he was just getting comfortable the last year, and unfortunately, Phase 3 performance dissolved in the off-season due to some unforeseen circumstances, and so the young man lost his ride, lost his boat. Was thankfully the Outlaw F1 team took him in as an added member in 2024, but now he's going to have to relearn a completely different boat. Now, it's a boat that he's had success in the past, got a podium finish here in that Mulgard, but he had gotten away from being comfortable with it, and the boat that he'd been running last year, that Hoffman composite, he's become so comfortable in. I can imagine he was like a kid in a candy store when he saw that teal and white Snap-on machine in the back of the trailer yesterday morning.
Well, keep in mind, it may not be teal and white for too much longer.
Fair.
I got to see a little sneak peek of a new paint job that's going to be coming up, and that paint job matches our next pole sitter. That would be Dustin Terry in the 03.
Yeah, that 03 machine. Kind of the first boat that was really truly built for the four-stroke package in mind. He's put a lot of time in. I would say between him and the 93 of RJ West, they've logged probably 75% of all laps in a four-stroke so far since the introduction of the Apex platform and now the APX 250 V8 4.6-liter V8, that is four-stroke motor. But the 03 of Dustin Terry, it's weird. I got to go back from the 190 to the 03,
yeah.
Right? Last year he ran under the banner of 190 as a tribute to the man just to my right, the best tunnel boat racer to ever do it, Mr. Bill Siebold, and kind of an homage to him in his early racing days, but now he's gone back to the 03. He comes fourth. And then fifth, another left coaster like yourself, one half of that Chuck Skelton racing team running for Composite Craft Boats, the 93 of RJ West. And he's probably not even happy with that, is he?
No, actually. I went and talked to him after qualifying, and he's like, that first turn just kept on getting to me, and I'm like, just do it. You have done this before. You've been in worse racing conditions. It's that technique that he has. But speaking of techniques, I told him, I said, can you simmer the front down a little bit? So for all of our fans out there, keep an eye on the 93s. He pops his way out of each turn.
He does. He definitely likes to pop the tail, right? Pop, lock, and drop it? No. Well, that's not necessarily what you do. You don't want to drop it on your head because that means you're upside down. But fifth, the 93 RJ West. Sixth, one half of the Clover construction team, and not normally the one that's the first of the two. Coming sixth off the start pontoon in that beautiful all red and black composite Hoffman that was acquired from the late Greg Foster's estate, his partner Kelly. With Greg's passing, it's been hard for all of us. I mean, he was an unbelievable human being and one of a hell of a racer. But she wanted to make sure that it got into good hands, and clearly the 12 of Sean Love is doing some great things with that Formula One boat because he comes sixth off the start pontoon. I bet you would have told the guy Friday, like, hey, you're going to qualify ahead of Chris Fairchild. He's like, are you crazy? That's not happening, man. You know who that guy is? There's no way I'm beating that guy. Well, sure enough, there he is, because seventh off the start pontoon, and that Michelob Ultra machine is the 62 of Chris Fairchild.
Chris Fairchild came here this weekend with two boats to try out. He went out in the gray Michelob, and I never saw the number 2 boat make it onto the water, so I asked him this morning, I said, are you even going to try? He goes, I've won a lot of races with this boat. I am very comfortable in this all-silver 62 Michelob. He goes, I think I'm going to just ride it one more time. And I said, okay, if you think so. I go, but you know what? If you don't finish on that podium, we got to switch back over to the green.
Well, we'll have to see what the rest of the weekend brings, but rounding out the rest of the top 10 in 8th, out of Nashville, Tennessee, in that beautiful blue and black Hoffman Formula One. The runner-up from 2023, number 17, we call him Mike Honcho, Mr. Dylan Anderson.
Dylan Anderson, brand new to this boat. It's a brand new Hoffman to him. He picked it up last year at the end of the year in October at Havasu at the end of the series. Been working on it really diligently for the last 2 weeks. Him and Patrick, I've been seeing Facebook posts right and left with them. And the last Facebook post I saw said, we're finally putting fuel in it. And then Friday afternoon, in rolls the Andersons.
Ninth, man who's in a new boat for the first time in a very long time, out of Okeechobee, Florida, is the number 34 of Jeff Reno in that Molgar Danish-built boat. That boat originally built to run on the Formula 2 series over in Europe. It looks a little different. It's got crash boxes built into it. Not all of our boats here have the crash boxes. You'll see the Molgards. The Hoffmans don't have them. The composite crafts do. And so a new boat for the 34 of Jeff Reno, looking to do some damage here in 2024 after a rough 2023.
Right, when I saw him pull in, all of a sudden I saw a different boat come out. I was like, wait, this isn't your normal ride. And he goes, I thought I would try things up a little different in 2024. And I said, all right, Jeff, let's give her a go. He's doing great so far out there in that all-red rocket number 34.
Well, and I think, the all-composite nature of that is weighs heavily on all the drivers' minds, right? They're all looking for stronger boats, faster boats. And unfortunately, Jeff knows that the wood boats that he has, those Seabolds have two. He's got a pair of them. They've treated him well for the better part of 15 to 20 years. But he recognizes as the game changes, adapt or die.
Yeah.
Right? And I think this is what we're seeing the 34 of Jeff Reno really adapting to take on a new boat that's got new safety properties, but it's stronger, lighter, faster as well.
Yeah, next up on the docket is going to be in that 10th place position in the number 9, Johnny Fleming of the Fleming Manufacturing. How does he get those shoulders inside of that boat? I have always wondered that. He has got these big, bold shoulders, and he comes in and, he was having some issues with some steering problems. I talked to him at driver's meeting. He goes, I think I got it figured out. He's got a lot of help around the pits. That's the great thing about boat racing. If somebody is having issues, you're going to see 3 or 4 teams over there helping them out. We are one big family. As Chris Fairchild says, I want to beat you on the water, not on the beach.
Right, exactly. And, the Fleming family has been somebody near and dear to my heart. I think the first time I went back into boat racing, I was in Tennessee.
You can't even keep all these races.
And I drove there overnight. I had my dog in the car. I was 23, 24 years old. And they let me, eat their food, shower in their motorhome, right? Because I had nothing. I just literally packed a bag and my dog in my station wagon and drove halfway across the country to go watch a boat race. And I just showed up, and they're like, what are you doing here? I'm like, well, I wanted to watch a race, and I figured you guys wouldn't care. and the Flemings were awesome. They took me under their wing. And I just hope that 2024 puts the gremlins to bed for the Fleming Manufacturing team. It seemed like whatever could go wrong was going to go wrong in 2023.
Number 11 on that docket is going to be Clover Construction by Spencer Levin at 24, all the way out of California. Drove all the way across here to Texas to be able to go compete not only with these other drivers,
but with his
brother.
Yeah.
I've had to race against my brother a few times, but, Spencer and his brother, they worked together well over the last, I don't know how many years they've been racing. Yep. But he also has to watch his daughter race this afternoon.
Yeah, he's spread a little thin these days. I do want to take a stop. I want to let everybody know here at the Riverfest, if you do have a drone, I need you to ground your drone or it will be confiscated. If you have a drone, I need you to ground your drone or it will be confiscated. We use drones in our live footage. These are all FAA certified drone pilots that are out here running at speeds well in excess of 100 miles an hour. And for the safety of your drone, if you don't want it in the river because you run into one of them or you have it confiscated by us for the end of the weekend, I would appreciate if you would ground your drone now. Thank you.
Going on to number 12 in the position, on the 92, Dean Comer out of California. The other half of the Chuck Skelton Racing, one of the only teams that comes here with 2 boats, 1 owner.
Yeah, and I don't know what was going on with Dean earlier. In the fast lap qualifiers, that whole group that had Comer, Yates, Schubert, Anderson, you look at them, the only one that had a decent lap was Dylan Anderson, and he was still 2.5 seconds off. And I don't know if it was the wind picked up or what, but that Group C in our fast lap qualifiers earlier this morning just was way off the pace from Group A and B, which is very weird.
Yeah, usually you have one that's woohoo out there in the middle or up there on the top.
Right.
But they were all pretty well clumped together. But you made it very clear. It's just like when you go for a run. You want to chase after that person right in front of you. Well, if that person right in front of you is only running at an 8-minute pace,
right,
you're only going to run at an 8-minute pace. But
exactly.
If they're running at a 6-minute, you better kick that into gear and get moving.
Yeah, that competitive spirit, right, that these drivers all absolutely have. It kicks them into overdrive when they're like, I'm not going to let him beat me. And it's weird how that permeates its way through the class. And you're right, we did see that in Group C. But, and it shows here, right? I mean, we have 3 of the 5 drivers in that group sitting in 12th, 13th, and 14th, with Dean Comer there in 12th, the 13 of Grant Schubert, and that Captain Jack Seafood Market sponsored entry in 13th. We already matched his number. Oh, how cute is that?
Oh.
Attention in the pits, Formula lights to the ramp. Attention in the pits, Formula lights to the ramp. And then rounding out the field is our rookie here in 2024, the lone rookie to step up from Formula lights and Tri-Hall, where he had been running the last year or two. And that's that bright green and purple, number 29, Island Lake Marine Go Boat USA of Jared Jensen.
Jared Jensen out of Windsor, Colorado, which is going to be one of our races coming up later on in the season.
Finishing up the season
I'm excited for that race. I mean, that is one I've been wanting to go to for a very long time. But it's great to see a home driver at his own race. We've got a lot of Texas drivers here, but to have your own race in your backyard, literally, could you imagine the pressure of having all your high school buddies sitting here watching you race?
I mean, well, he's going to find out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're all going to be there in droves. I've been actually having a handful of conversations. He didn't dip his toe in the water.
No.
He dove in head first and was sure the pool was 10 feet deep. Right? It wasn't 4 inches deep. But I love the tenacity and the enthusiasm with that young driver. And yeah, it's going to freak him out a little bit. But hey, you know what? These guys will all tell you. There's a little bit of fear that drives all of us, right? There's the fear that we're going to go over. There's the fear that we're going to get thumped by all our competitors and look stupid out there, and that is just fuel to their fire. And so I don't think you're going to see the 29 of Jared Jensen shy away from the fact that he's a rookie. I think he's smart, right? He's not going to stick his nose in where it doesn't belong in his first race in the season. But come Colorado, I think you're going to see this young man mixing it up with the best of them, and he's going to be in that mid-pack fighting for position as long as he can keep it upright.
I'm sure he'll do just fine. He's a younger kid out on the course, and it's good to see some of the young blood coming out, the new drivers bringing in new ideas. Since he is a rookie driver, he will have to start on the end of the dock for each heat. But, as you said, Thomas, he's going to keep working harder to get his way up through the middle of the pack and maybe all the way up to the top. I know that he's got a great crew behind him. I know that his radio personnel, Lindsay, is probably going to be talking to him. So, little Miss Lindsay, if you are listening, remember to tell him to hammer down on that throttle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the crew chief, your crew chief, your radio person, everybody on your team is so important. They can help flatten that learning curve, right? Or without them, you can see a pretty steep learning curve, and it'd take a lot longer because they're there to spot how to help you go in and out of corners. You have such a small, narrow field of vision, right? This isn't like the kneel-down hydroplanes that you're used to where you have a very open and full vision. You're in an enclosed cockpit, and when you're sitting inside that, I mean, you've maybe got 3 inches of vertical vision.
Yeah.
That's it.
I've sat in these things, and they put the hood down, and if you're
Are you sure you could see over the dash?
I needed a little booster seat. Don't make fun of me, but I might have sat in one that already had a booster seat, but no comment. But, it was just, I had sat in there, and I looked, and I said, how can you see anything? And the side mirrors, I mean, look how small those side mirrors are. And the biggest thing is, when they take off, what's the first thing they do? Front end goes straight up. They're looking straight at the sky. And it's just, I don't know. Okay, maybe I'll try it.
Yeah, it looks like we might have the 29 of Jared Jensen might be a scratch here in heat number 1. I do not see the young man out of Windsor, Colorado on the water. So it looks like I know he was fighting some technical issues. They just got that boat together. It's a brand new boat. And that's not necessarily unsurprising. You get a new boat. You start running it. Right, you got to work through the gremlins. I think even the best setup man in the business, you set up a brand new boat, there's going to be weird things. But we're about to get ready to go here for our first heat as Chief Referee Doug Ray is assessing the start pontoon. Again, modified Le Mans start. We're going to start at 1 minute. We're going to count down in 10-second increments till we hit 20 seconds. When we go under starters' orders, you will see a giant orange flag raise itself in the middle of the course. As soon as that starter chooses to move that flag, you're going to hear all 15 of these Formula Ones come roaring to life. from the shores of the Neches River here and goes 0 to 100 in under 5 seconds through the middle of the course, down the north end through turns 3 and 4 to start lap 1 of this 6 minutes plus 1 lap, first of 3 qualifying heats here in Formula One.
Can you climb this or no? They're about to go. I'm waiting for the gun. But the drone is still up in the air. It's fine.
Attention in the pits. If this is your drone, I will confiscate it. I need all drones out of the air now. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Coming up on the 1 minute drivers, 1 minute. Will the man sitting on the pole be able to start off the season here in 2024 and try to fight his way for a title? 50 seconds, drivers, 50 seconds. Or will the 14 of Andrew Tate come off like a rocket and try to find his way on the podium here at the opening round of 2024? 40 seconds, drivers, 40 seconds. Or will the number 8 of Jeremiah Get Out of My Way Mayo or the 03 of Dustin Terry be the man who takes heat number 1? 30 seconds, drivers, 30 seconds. Or will it be the 93 of RJ West, the 12 of Sean Love, the 62 of Chris Fairchild? Let's find out who's going to take qualifying heat number 1. 20 seconds, drivers, you're under starters' orders. He drops the flag and they come roaring to life. Great jump there by the 17 of Dylan Anderson and the 9 of Johnny Fleming wide to the outside. But look at the 93 of RJ West way out in front as he looked to douse down the 03 of Dustin Terry through the commitment buoy down to the north end of the course. Let's make sure everybody gets through clear.
52 of Chris Rinker going to be the first one to come out and come across that start-finish line with Rinker Boat World. He is flying it, but here comes Tater in the 14.
The 52 of Chris Rinker out in front, trying to go wire to wire from that pole position. But you're right, the 14 Andrew Tate really slid that thing wide to try to find that clean line as we're going exactly the way they started. 52, 14, 8. But the 93 able to get above the 03 and move up a position. It looks like, oh, watch out, the 8 of Jeremiah Mayo struggling. Here goes the 93, blows the doors off, and he moves up into third.
RJ West quickly coming up that backstretch. He's got a lot of ground to make up. He was able to get around Jeremiah Mayo, but he's got his eyes right there on Andrew Tate in that number 14. But look at Rinker fly across the start-finish line in the Rinker Boat World.
There's the 93 of RJ West in third. There's the 14 of Andrew Tate pushing hard, but you are right. The 52 Chris Real Deal Rinker has got that thing absolutely dialed in and strolling here in the opening of 3 qualifying heats here at the opening round of 2024, the Port Neches Riverfest.
With only a few laps in, it looks like Chris Rinker has got so much speed. He is so close to already starting to come up to back traffic. That's going to be a factor.
Oh, the 8 of Jeremiah Mayo. I don't know what is going on with the young man. Cannot get that boat to move out of the corner. It looks like he's bouncing almost maybe like that trim stuck in, and he's just hopping over the top of the waves instead of really riding across them. And boy, that's got to be frustrating for the young driver out of Richmond, Texas, as he started third. Oh, look out there. As we almost saw the 99 of Travis Yates and the 24 of Spencer Love get together down off camera at the far end of the course. But there's the 8 of Mayo, the 12 of Sean Love's easily able to get by him. That is not something I'm used to saying, Kay. Nor is it something that the 8 of Mayo is used to seeing happen on the water.
Exactly, but you did talk about it earlier that he was not ready for that boat, had not had very much seat time into it over the last couple years, and it's starting to show right now. Seat time is a factor, and it is showing right now as Chris Rinker goes flying by back traffic in the 52 of Rinker Boat World.
And he's able to lap the 24 of Spencer Love in that Clover construction, which is not something I'm used to saying either. A lot of firsts here. There's the 34 of Jeff. Oh, look out. Oh, Jeff Reno almost stuffs it going down the back straightaway. Oh boy, was it almost weekend over for the driver out of Okeechobee, Florida, running for Gregory Law Firm. He almost had to call the Gregory Law Firm for some injuries sustained because he almost stuffed that thing at 100 plus miles an hour.
Well, he was able to bring it back down and come across that start-finish line in the number 34 of Jeff Reno. But here comes our leader right now in the all-yellow Rinker Boat World number 52, here followed by the 14 of Dylan Anderson, and it looks like we might be having issues with Fleming. He looks to be pulling off to the side.
Man, young man out of the Woodlands, Texas, just can't seem to buy a break. But there we got the overhead shot of the 52 of Chris Rinker as he's cruising down the back straightaway. That chartreuse blue machine. It looks like the 14 of Andrew Tate lost it there a little bit on the backside, lost his rear cowling. It is getting brutally rough down the back straightaway for everybody except the 52 of Chris Rinker. I don't know what magic voodoo he's got behind in that cockpit, but that young man is absolutely strolling where everybody else is just hanging on for dear life.
Finding that clear water, which a lot of these drivers, if you're watching out here on the course, are not able to find. It looked like Tater just about submarine that boat, which probably lifted the rear cowling. Looks like we also lost Chris Fairchild in the back of the Michelob Ultra, but running in third is the 93 of RJ West, and here comes young Dylan Anderson in the 17.
And that water is absolutely brutal. Comer goes airborne. We just saw that as the 14 Andrew Tate. That mid-pack right there just off of turn 2 is creating some hellacious waves here on the Neches River. As we got another driver stuff, looks like that's the 12 of Sean Love. And that is just, I have never seen this before, Kay. I have never seen the water get so brutal mid-back straightaway. It's normally coming off the corner, but the 12 of Sean Love, you see the overhead, looks like he's okay. The cowling is open, but obviously the pickle fork's busted up. What is going on with the water there on the back straightaway? I mean, we had 5 different drivers pop a wheelie in a boat on the back straightaway. Boats don't pop wheelies.
No, and Tater did the same thing in the same exact spot. There has to be something with the current right in that particular area. But it is just, I mean, this looked like tri-haul water out here just a minute ago. This was just getting absolutely crazy.
I mean, I've seen the wind way worse than this.
Yes, yesterday.
And it doesn't do this to the water. You can see 24 of Spencer Love checking in on his brother, make sure he's okay. Sean getting out of the boat, right? The safety cell did its job. It took the brunt of the impact. The Hans device that he has that takes care of his neck keeps his neck from snapping forward, because that's what gets you in those stuff jobs, right? When you stuff that boat, that violent stop, like what happened to Dale Earnhardt Sr., is why our drivers wear those Hans devices. So glad to see the young driver out of California is doing okay. But, man, it got hairy out there for a few minutes, and we've still got a few minutes plus 1 lap left in this qualifying heat.
Yeah, and you can see our divers are over there. They're now going to go, you can see right here on the screen, we've got Tater. He's missing that back cowling, so they're going to go try and probably dive for that. That's an expensive little piece of equipment that's sitting out there.
Well, yeah, here's a little tip.
Flotation.
Pool noodles.
Pool noodles, yes. Those are very handy.
A glued pool noodle inside the center of the top cowling will save you 4 digits worth of money.
So at the dollar store, spend $4.
Right.
$4.
Spend $4 to save $1,500 on a brand new carbon fiber rear cowling. But looks like they're getting the 12 of Sean Love in. And boy, the rough work continues for the 12 of Sean Love as he goes over again here in 24. And it looks like just got word from race director John Schubert that due to the rough water here and how much we were able to complete there, your winner in qualifying heat number 1, the man who went wire to wire out of Spring, Texas, running for Rinker Boat World, McLean Trailers, number 52, Chris, the real deal Rinker. Well-deserved there, Kay, because he seemed like the only one that had that water licked and the only one that wasn't having massive problems navigating that rough backstretch.
It's all in setup right there, because he was running it yesterday, and he was running pretty much like how you saw it. It was really rough, but he seemed to be able to maneuver through that. That is all in setup. That is all in using that trigger of the trimming of the up and down. I'm going to go grab Chris as he comes in to go do his interview. I'll be right back.
And it looks like they got the Phenom Ventures 14 of Andrew Tate's rear cowling, so he doesn't owe his boss and team owner Dylan Runny any money for losing part of his boat. But, boy, we got some damage there. As you see, they're going to bring in the 12 of Sean Love's front pickle forks are all bashed up on the front of that Clover construction machine. Let's take a look at our results. With 14 laps in this qualifying heat, your winner, again, the 52, Chris, the real deal Rinker. The 14, Andrew Tate, despite losing the rear cowling, still finishes in second position. Just about 7 seconds behind our leader, the 52 of Chris Rinker. In third, the 03 of Dustin Terry. Then the 12 of Sean Love. However, because the 12 of Sean Love was the reason the race got stopped, he's going to get penalized 1 lap. Once he gets penalized one lap, that's going to shuffle the order a little bit, so you're going to see him move way down. The 8 of Jeremiah Mayo move up to 4th. The 93 of R.J. West is going to move up into 5th position once that penalty is assessed, and so on for the rest of the field. So finishing in 6th position, the 17 of Dylan Anderson. In 7th position, the 34 of Jeff Reno. I mean, he was flying out there, literally. The first one that really kind of opened up Pandora's box to how rough it was. I mean, not Pandora, showed us how rough it was there on that backstretch was the 34 out of Okeechobee, Florida, Mr. Jeff Reno. He got it airborne, but saved it. I mean, that's what happens when you got 35 years in a tunnel boat. Here's a little fun fact about Jeff Reno. The only boat racer I've ever known that's gotten sucked up into a tornado while racing. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, circa 2006 or so. He went down the back straightaway. A water spout hit as a rainstorm came in Pittsburgh. He blew it over, and the water spout sucked him up and spit him about 10 feet downriver. An impressive thing. He said it was one of the weirdest experiences of his life. So a little fun fact, you went to a boat race and you found out one of the drivers got sucked up in his race boat in a water spout or tornado over the water. In 8th position, the 62 of Chris Fairchild probably would have finished top 5 if it weren't for some mechanical issues he had himself, probably because stuff got jarred loose here in the rough water of the Neches River. Behind him, in 9th position, the number 92 of Dean Comer. And rounding out the field, let's take a look at the rest of our field here in this Formula One class. In 10th position, the 24 of Spencer Love. In 11th position, the 9 of Johnny Fleming. In 12th position, that's where you're going to see that slot of Sean Love fall down to, and that's because the 13 of Grant Schubert, the 99 of Travis Yates, and the 29 of Jared Jensen were all DNFs there in qualifying heat number 1. So the Neches River, she showed her ugly teeth. She snarled, and she took a couple of bites out of a couple of drivers. One she didn't take a bite out of, though, was the man who was your winner in qualifying heat number 1, the 52 of Chris Rinker. And we're going to have a chance to chat with him here in just a moment. So while she's down there chatting with Chris, we're going to look at the rest of our schedule now. Because of the carnage that you saw here on the river during this Formula One qualifying heat, I'm going to have to wait to see what the race directors say about the rest of our racing classes today. Actually, one's coming up. Talk to me right now. Well, you know what the beautiful thing about having one of your racing classes have a nickname of bumper boats at 65 miles an hour? Well, the best thing is when the water gets brutal like this, the tri-hulls love it. They absolutely love the rough water. So we're going to change our program just a bit here this afternoon. We were going to bring the Formula Lights out for their first of 3 qualifying heats. Instead, we're going to bring the Texas Tri-Hulls back out onto the water and allow them to run their second of 4 qualifying heats here at the Port Neches Riverfest. Again, the Port Neches Riverfest has had some phenomenal sponsors throughout the years. None better than the folks at Groves Equipment Rental, Port Neches Towing, the Neches Federal Credit Union, and all their other phenomenal sponsors that make the Riverfest possible every year. So if you see any of the sponsors from the Riverfest, make sure you shake their hand. Make sure you tell them thank you. They're a big reason why we're able to come here year in and year out and have spent 23 years enjoying the beautiful warm weather of Port Neches, Texas in early May. All right, while with the change in the program, while we hang out and wait for our tri-hulls to make it out on the water, we had a chance to sit down with the 93 of R.J. West and pick his brain a little bit about what it's like to be a Formula One driver here on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series.
Welcome back, race fans. We are here for the 2024 Port Neches Riverfest. I'm here with RJ West of Composite Crafts Racing, along with Chuck Skelton Racing in the 93. You went out there in the water, did a lot of testing. What all were you testing for?
Really just trying to get the feel of the course. It's always a little bit different to where they put the buoys down and stuff like that. So I'm out there just trying to get comfortable and learn my marks. And then at that point, after that, we start doing a little bit of prop testing and try to see what direction we need to go to be fast.
Well, you're one of the lucky ones that gets to work hand in hand, not only with Mercury Racing, but DeWalt Props. That combination makes you right up there on the top podium pretty much every weekend.
Well, Dave's a good friend of mine. I was literally on the phone with him when I got back to the trailer. But to be honest, our R&D actually helps everybody here because they get to get the same props we got. There's no preference here, so that's how it works.
Yes, but working with Mercury, you've done a lot of changes over the last few years. Give us some insight on what they have done to help you be successful.
Well, it's a big deal. We've ran 3 different motor combinations in the last 3 years, and they've been trying to hone on to make it work with the 2-stroke motors as well to be equal. And so now we're on a whole new platform here with a V8, an actual production V8 under the cowling. Seems to be really competitive. I think it's going to be a really interesting weekend.
Well, last year you ended off with a very good year. You've already started off this season with a great win down in Parker, Arizona, and now we're already seeing you out there, and you were fast out there in testing.
Well, they don't give trophies out for testing, so we're going to work hard. I mean, we're going to work as hard as we can and just try to be competitive.
Well, good luck for the rest of the weekend. RJ West of the 93 Composite Craft, Chuck Skelton Racing.
All right, well, joining me now is the man who's going to give us a little bit of insight as to why we had to change our program. One of the Formula Light drivers from right here in the greater Houston area, number 2 at Travis Thompson. Boy, Travis, it was rough out there in the Formula One. I mean, you've been here a lot of times. You've been, you're like 13th, 12th Riverfest, something like that. Have you ever seen guys bunny hopping down the back straightaway here in the river?
No, well, I mean,
There we go.
Well, I've never seen that many boats stuff in one heat, I tell you that. And I think there was 2 or 3 of them at least. And they're, we're 3 feet shorter, and we'd be having the same size holes that they do. So, we appreciate John and Timmy taking that into consideration and, looking out for us.
Yeah, and it seems like there's a few things we know when we come to Port Neches. At some point, it's probably going to torrentially downpour on all of us.
The pits are going to be muddy.
Right. Thankfully, that got out of the way before this weekend, right? And the second thing is we know at some point the wind or the weather is going to wreak some sort of havoc, right? Whether it is just the torrential downpour or some of the wind today. Let's talk about why do you think it's so – I mean, we can feel the wind coming out of the south, right, blowing in off the Gulf. Is that typically what creates the worst weather for you guys here at the Riverfest?
Well, I mean, backing up about 20 seconds, as much as I love this city, I don't think we've ever had ideal, perfect conditions here. But yeah, I mean, we've got a current, we've got wind, we've got a lot of rain that's creating more current, and then just this river's it just is the way it is.
It's a commercial, right? As Chris Fairchild was talking earlier, the commercial traffic changed the dynamic of the river, and it's a river that's not naturally designed to be as deep as it is, and that creates a lot of unique challenges.
Yeah. One what's funny is every course that's rough is a different kind of rough. I mean, like Tom, you've been to Bay City many times, and Bay City, Michigan is for those of you listening that don't know, it's maybe 2 hours north of Detroit, Michigan, and there's seawalls on either side of the body of water that we race on, and that is a very different kind of rough where this is like bumpy and creates holes in the corners, whereas Bay City's we create the rough water, and it's just big holes that we have to kind of trying to survive. It's by lap, and the final by lap 22, 25, it's just holding onto the steering wheel trying to complete your lap and hold on to your position. You're not a whole lot of real speed and competition there, but you're just holding on for survival.
Right, but it's everywhere, right? The whole course is sloppy.
Yeah.
Whereas here, 3 and 4, they were cruising, right? Coming out of 4, everybody was flying, but as soon as they got out of the south end of the turn, the south end of the course, it was like they went from going 100 miles an hour out of one turn, and they're doing like 50.
30, yeah.
30, right? They're just, again, total survival mode out there coming out of the south end. Does it get really bad when you've got the current, right, going the opposite direction of the wind?
Yeah, well, yes, because then you've got, say if there was no wind, but you had a current, it would create issues whenever you've got, say 8 or 10 boats, and then we start going. We are going in the same spot. We're creating holes, and then the wind is pushing the current a different way. So then I can't explain I don't know what the water.
You're not a physicist. Yeah. I'm not a physicist. Like, I get it, but it does. So when the wind is with the current versus against the current, it's a totally different dynamic that you have to prepare yourself as a driver.
For sure, current's always tricky, but then when you add in this, I don't know, 12 to 15 mile an hour wind right now, it just adds a whole other layer to it.
So as a driver, you prefer lakes or rivers?
Ooh, that's a good question, Tom. I can do, wind is easy. But then, like we've been talking about, current on a river combined with wind, just, I don't know. I love coming to Port Neches and racing. I've had good years here. I've had bad years here. I've had a couple of podiums. I've blown over backwards right in front of where we're standing right here. Lakes they're a controlled environment. So it's just, I don't know. Rivers are more exciting. Lakes are kind of easier, and then it comes more about just the speed and the driving.
Right. So obviously there's a lot less variability, which means I can imagine like there's that one setup that's going to work, right? Whereas here you can have 2 or 3 different setups that may work, and you may not be that fast off the dock. But, I mean, the guy who you could have won this heat and not been the fastest driver if they would have finished it to the end because it was so rough. It's not about being the fastest anymore, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's just, who can drive through the water the best, who can hold on, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. So let's talk about this year. I mean, obviously, last year, I think 2023 is probably one of those years you're like, you know what? What 23? What?
Yeah, we my wife and I had a baby in the fall of 2022, and so trying to make a full race schedule was pretty tough. So she's not here this weekend. Her and the baby are just having some mom and daughter time, and we're here racing, and
which is nice.
Yeah, I'm getting photos throughout the day, but. Yeah, last year was, there was some races that we wanted to make. We were here, did well here, but we weren't able to go to Oklahoma or Ohio or any other stuff we wanted to go to. But,
hey, that's what happens, man. At the end of the day, family comes first, right? I mean, we all have our families that we take care of back at home, and and there's so many families here, and this is such a family-friendly event. But boat racing is tough on a family, right? I mean, you're locked in, you're in a totally different mode. It's hard to go from boat racing mode to dad mode in the same weekend. Again, that's a whole other piece that you now have to navigate and learn how that works. And but there's also got to be a lot of excitement to be able to show your daughter like this cool thing that you've done for a very long time that's been a part of your family. And who knows? I mean, maybe we don't say this so mom doesn't hear, but who knows? Maybe one day she'll want to get in one as well.
Well, I'd say last year we've got a pretty cute picture of her watching this race from the live stream, like crawling around. She was 6 months old at the time, but just kind of crawling around, laying on her back, looking like she was watching. So it was pretty cute.
Nice. Well, hey, it's a good omen, right? Good omen for the future in your household. Well, hey, man, we're going to let you get back to it here. It looks like we're getting the tri-hulls in. I wish you the best of luck, right? I know you got some tough competitors, right? There's always the 35 that we've always got to be worried about. But hopefully, come the end of the weekend, you got some hardware to bring back home to your family, and you bring it all back in one piece safely.
Yeah, thanks, Tom.
Hey, not a problem, man. That was the number 2 of Travis Thompson, the man looking to knock off the 35 of Mark Schmierbach and be your champion in Formula Lights here in 2024. Again, like I mentioned, we had to change up our program a bit. So we got a little bit of a gap here. While you've got time, gator on a stick, shrimp on a stick, the limeades, the lemonades, the Amish donuts, the pork kebabs.
Ooh.
Are fantastic.
I want to try gator. I've never had gator before, and I keep saying
like chicken. It's like dark meat chicken.
Okay, well,
that's the way. Everybody, any weird meat kind of tastes like chicken. Like that's what everybody says.
Unless it's an elk steak, then
fair. And elk does not taste like chicken.
No,
because elk doesn't have really any fat.
It is a good backstrap, man. That is the best. It is so yum.
It says somebody from the Northwest, right? the most of us in the rest of the country don't even have access to elk. You're like, oh, there's like 12 in my backyard. It's no big deal.
But there was. Now there's 11.
Right, exactly. But the midway is jammed. Ice cream, lemonades, limeades. I mean, I think, like I said earlier, I gained about 12 pounds just walking through it. So swing on down. They got ice-cold Miller Lite products thanks to the great folks at Del Papa Distributing, a long-time partner here at the Port Neches Riverfest. So wet your whistle with an adult beverage of choice. Don't forget to pick up a koozie, a hat, a shirt right at the entrance to the food area, right into the at the entrance of the ticketed area, we've got our Formula One Powerboat Championship Series swag tent.
Ooh, I
get
gotta go
all
up
the
there.
stuff. Get a Sharpie. You might be able to get a sweet autograph from one of our drivers. We've got shirts, hoodies, hats, koozies, sunglasses, you name it, we've got it. Stop down, say hi to Debbie. Tell her Tom sent you.
Hey, Debbie, I'd like a size small.
Right.
Please.
Can you hold one for later? Yeah, I swung down and grabbed one of our hats, and I was telling you earlier, I'm just a guy built for the South, right? I mean, my dad's from the South, but I live in Minnesota. I mean, I put this hat on 20 minutes later, I've sweated through the hat already.
That's why I wear black, and it's slimming.
Well, yeah, that's all well and good until you sweat through the hat and it dries, and that black hat has a nice, like, white,
Then I'll go see
crusty...
Debbie and get another one.
Fair, right? Well, see, but I figure, right, I got to stick with one, because if they keep giving me a hat every day at every race, she's like, Tom, we don't even have any hats to sell anymore.
That's fair.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
And you know, and the Riverfest, how fantastic they are, right? With Exodus Financial Services, Port Neches Towing, all the great sponsors here that make the Riverfest happen every single year. They're here. They stick with the community. What a great, tight-knit community this is. Classic Chevrolet, Classic Motors out of Southeast Texas. They've got numerous points here in the greater Port Neches area to get you all your car needs, whether it's Chevy, Kia, Buick, GMC, Acura, Cadillac. They've got a whole slew, so swing by the great folks at Cadillac, Southeast Texas. Let them know the folks from the Formula One Powerboat Championship sent you, and they'll take great care of you if you're here in Southeast Texas. KLB 88.1, Live by Truth, a great radio station here in the local Port Neches, Grove, Nederland area. Great sponsor here in 2024 of the Port Neches Riverfest. That's KLB 88.1. All right, well, we had a chance to chat with RJ West a little bit earlier. We talked to Chris Fairchild as well. Let's chat with a young man who didn't make it through qualifying heat number one. He's been dealing with some gremlins, but one of the young guns in Formula One, the 13, Captain Jack Seafood of Grant Schubert.
Grant Schubert, Grantschubert.
Love it. So, Grant, you're the youngest one out here. What does that mean for you, and how does that, how do you step up to the competition with that?
Man, I'm just following in my father's footsteps. He started at a young age and had to end at a young age, sadly, so I just want to follow him and my uncle.
What is the best part about racing these boats?
So currently I'm running a composite craft built by RJ West, running a 254 stroke made by Mercury Racing. It's a good setup. It's a work in progress. Currently racing against the 2.5 for Mercury and, all sorts of holes. The 2.5s are a little more agile than the 4 strokes, and that's something I'm trying to work towards.
All right, well, sorry about a little bit of technical difficulty there, but the 13 at Grant Schubert, the youngest driver in the Formula One class, the young driver out of Richmond, Texas, is struggled so far. It seems like this kid just can't get a full race together in Formula One yet at his home track. I mean, this is his, right, for him and a handful of other guys, this is their home race, right? They got the whole crew in from Houston. They're all here. And Grant just can't seem to buy a good start. It's, there's an electrical issue. There's a trim issue. And I think this one here, his boat was sinking. He had a hole in the boat that he didn't know about. And he's sitting at the start dock, and the boat's sinking. But he never gets upset.
No. And, what I love about him is he's such a gentleman. He always walks up, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And, if you say, hey, Grant, I need this, the kid is on it. And he says, okay, I got it. But like you just said, he has got a great team behind him.
Absolutely.
They are all going to make sure that kid gets out on the water for the next heat.
Yeah, right. I mean, it would be no different if it was anybody else. If it was Travis Yates, if it was Dustin Terry, if it was Jeremiah Mayo, they're all going to do whatever they need for each other, which is those are the real gears that turn the Outlaw F1. Most people look at it and go, how do you 4 boats? How do you do it?
Plus the trails.
Right. They do it because they all work together.
Yeah.
Right. They are. I mean, that is. the truest version of a non-blood related family I have ever seen in my entire life. I mean, they spend their nights together. They spend their weekends together. I mean, the Sport Marine shop in Richmond, Texas. By the way, if you're looking for a beautiful bay boat to do some snapper fishing and whatnot in the shallow waters of Southeast Texas, check out JH Performance Boats, built by Sport Marine, the brainchild of one Mike Schubert, completely built and designed by Mike. He built all the molds. He designed the boat completely by himself, and now they sell them. And I think they still have like an 18-month waiting list. So get on the waiting list now, guys.
Yeah.
But they truly, I mean, where are they on a Tuesday night? They're at the race shop. Where are they on a Thursday night? They're at a race shop. Where are they on a Sunday afternoon? They're at the race shop, right? So they're a huge family that does everything together. They truly, genuinely love one another. And I think you can see that, right, with how the care that they have for helping each other, which is not necessarily typical of racers, right?
No. I mean, you go to some other motorsports and you won't see them working together. You may see two drivers that are on the same team, but you won't see them hanging out. You won't see them talking to each other, giving each other advice. You're going to see them out there saying, you are my competitor. You may be my teammate, but you are my competitor. These guys, when it comes to boat racing, are a whole new mentality when it comes to that. They are like, you're my brother, you're my buddy, you're my race competitor, but you're also my friend. Well, sometimes in turn one that might be a little different, but you know. But they are located, if you want to go check out their array of boats, as we would call it, they are right on the other side of the Ferris wheel, and that's a great group to go talk to. And they would actually, because I mean, I would have to say there's a couple like Cole the Mullet. How did he get into boat racing?
He's Grant's buddy.
He's Grant's buddy. Grant said, hey, get in the boat. So,
right.
you know, if you want to get in one of these boats,
absolutely,
go talk to Jay and H about getting into one of these tri-halls.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a surplus of them, and they're more than happy to teach you all about it. You know, and one thing about the tri-hulls that most people don't know that I think is great, it has a claiming rule. So, which I'm blown away that nobody has done this to Neil Marsh yet, but he's won 2 years in a row, and somebody can cut him a check for $3,500, take his boat, motor, prop right off the back of his boat, and there is nothing he can do about it because it literally says right in the rules that if somebody does this, you have to give them your motor, which to me is like the ultimate like trump card, level the playing field type of rule, because you can't go tune up a motor and juice it to the moon and live it on the edge because somebody's going to take it from you.
Wait, say that again. So if you win,
correct,
you basically have to give your winning motor, not with a check that doesn't bounce off the ground. You have to give your competitor.
You're at their mercy. If they walk up to the steward of the tri-hull, right, the representative, and say, I would like to claim Neil Marsh's motor, they give him the check. The steward will walk over to Neil Marsh and say, here's the check for your motor. So-and-so will be taking your motor.
Do they have to swap?
No, it has to happen at the end of the race weekend. You can't do it mid-race.
Ooh, that would be kind of fun, though.
Sure. Throw a whole other dynamic in there. Guys are like middle of the night. They're like wrenching and stealing each other's motors in the middle of the night. No, it doesn't have to happen at the end of the race weekend. But if we continue to see the domination, right, this year, I would not be surprised to find somebody try to put that rule in place to make sure that Neil Marsh doesn't win 3 series titles in a row in tri-hull. He tried mightily in heat number 1, but the 88 of Josh Wells was able to hold off, and it's going to be a doozy here in heat number 2, especially if the rough water from that opening Formula One heat is indicative of how brutal it's going to be out there. These tri-hulls are going to be banging all over the place.
When don't they? I want to say the tri-hulls just make everything. They take like their own rules, like you said, they got their own rule books, and take every rule and throw it up and say, let's see how it lands. When it comes to the Formula Tunnel boats, they have to fight by qualifying to get onto the pole position. These guys just draw a number out of the hat. They also have, instead of a flag, they have the rolling start. And now you're bringing in this extra composite of here of if you win the Nationals, you lose your motor. I mean, realistic. And then they got open cockpits. And they've got drivers that are ranging from, 16 to, how old is Scary Jerry now? Like 80 young?
He is 80 years young. He'll be 81 mid-season. He'll finish the 2024 season at 81 years old.
I've heard that so many years.
I would right. Well, I like 3 years ago I was like, he's like 85, and Jerry's like, dude, I'm not even 80 yet. Don't make me older than I am. I'm already old. No, but I would love nothing more than to announce the first octogenarian APBA national champion is none other than Jerry Rinker. It's funny talking about tri-hulls. Even though he won at the Heat 1 in Formula 1, the 52 of Chris Rinker came from that tri-hull world and talks a lot about how that really helped him set up to be successful in Formula 1. Let's see what the 52 of Chris Rinker had to say about driving a tri-hull.
So, obviously I ran tri-hull for several years. Won the Nationals when I was 16 in Mini Grand Prix. It's kind of where I got my feet wet, and ran tri-hulls, and then decided to step up. Did a little testing and stuff with Ashton, and kind of decided we would team up, and we put together a pretty good package, and we've kind of grown it from there. I've got 2 boys and still an 81-year-old father racing in tri-hulls, and so there's a lot of passion, a lot of love, a lot of Rinker racing still to come. So I'm looking forward to see what they do. Tanner and Mason are doing an incredible job. Mason did really good in Freeport last weekend. It was super neat to see him win. I broke down on the side, and I was more excited than I would be if I had won the race. So it was really cool to watch.
All right, yeah, it's 52 of Chris Rinker, always the family man, right? He loves the spotlight, but at the same time, I think he would happily pass the spotlight to one of his kids at every opportunity he got. I don't know if I've ever seen him be as proud of his own accomplishments as he is when he sees his kids do well in the tri-hull class. And I wouldn't be surprised if one or both of them eventually step their way up into the bigger class like their father, as Chris speaks about that continual next generation of the Rinker family that's, we talk about the Seabolds and being the first family of boat racing. Well, the Rinkers might be 1A, and it very quickly could become, I think if you talk about volume and sheer number of drivers, I think the Rinkers are the first family of boat racing. They may not have had the success of the Seabolds, but man, there's a lot of them. They're everywhere. They're like bunnies. They just pop up out of nowhere.
And there's even a couple that aren't even here. And it's like they have their own compound back there. It's like you go back there and it's like bright yellow everywhere you go. Well, I might have a hat. I got mine signed by Chris right after he took that win. But we were talking that interview. He mentioned that he was just emotional with excitement after he watched his son make his first. But the best part was the video after.
Yes.
When he got tossed in the river by his own brother.
And talk about that, Kay, right? This is a unique thing, in car racing. They douse them down with champagne. Well, we all do that, right? Who doesn't like to have a little bubbly after a hard weekend? But the one thing that's unique in boat racing is what happens the first time you ever win a race.
Your first.
Yes. And the fact that, why wouldn't you indoctrinate them into the water, right? So for those of you out there are newer or to the nuances of tunnel boat racing or boat racing in general, and I would say this does permeate across all divisions, right? So whether it's
I've seen it with all the
hydroplane,
classes.
inboard, outboard, right? Our offshore, you win your first race ever. Whoever it is, it might be your parents, it might be your siblings, it might be your spouse, it might be your best friend, it might be your whole crew, it might be the race director, right? It doesn't really matter. But when you do that, you get grabbed by the haunches, and they don't gently dip you in the water. No, the goal is to huck that human being as far and as high into the water as humanly possible. I can imagine you've experienced this at one point in your life.
I did. I remember it very vividly. I was in Eastern Washington at Scootney Reservoir in Othello, Washington. And
How old were you?
I was 12, I think. It took me a couple years. I started racing at 9.
Hey, fair, right? Nobody comes out and wins right away.
I've seen a few that have done that.
Well, fair. Okay,
yeah.
It's not common.
It's not very common. But here's the kicker. that is like the worst water to be thrown into. And I was like, can we just wait till next weekend? And they're like, oh, no. You're going in now.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's a stinky body of water or if it's cold or if it's filled with algae. You're going in. But the nice thing is it's, there's almost a sense of accomplishment by being dunked. I made
By
it.
who, the throwers or the throwee?
Right. But it's got to feel good. Like, you get out of the water and you realize, like, I made it.
Yeah.
Right? I now know that I know what I'm doing. I'm good at this. I can figure out how to do this, because up until that point, you're just like, what am I doing out here? Right? I'm getting lapped. You're learning. You're trying to figure it all out. And I think it's that one unifying thing across all boat racers is everybody with their stories about their first, and and everybody wanting that. I mean, we all love trophies, we all love prize money, but if you talk to drivers, they're honestly like, I remember it like it was yesterday, as you said.
It's the famous saying, and I say it all the time, and you will hear it. If you walk through these pits, you'll hear it, even in the crowd. I always say this one time at a boat race.
Yes.
I say it all the time. All these boat racers say it, and I even ask them in their interviews. I'm like, what's your one time at the boat race story? What is your favorite one? And, their eyes light up and they're like, wow, where do I start? I mean, everybody's got a story here. The fans have a story. You have a story. I have a story. Everybody's got a story from right here in Port Neches at the Riverfest of this one time at a boat race here. I remember when this happened. I remember hiking in the hills of Pacific North Washington, listening to you, and all of a sudden I heard what just happened as they were making a rolling start.
Yes.
That's all I have to do is say that, and you're going to be like, well, this one time at a boat race at Port Neches, Spencer Love was doing 55 maybe miles per hour.
Maybe not even.
I don't even think he was doing that.
Yeah.
And clonk.
Picked up a 30-foot log.
Yeah.
I mean, and I closed my eyes like it was yesterday. They put the boat on the trailer, and you're like, how does the boat not just tip off the trailer? I mean, because he carved into that almost petrified log that was so long, and you felt so bad for him because, I mean, it was his to win. It was right there for the taking.
Yeah.
And, hey, how'd you lose the race? My boat got stuck on a log. Not really something you want to say.
Yeah.
But, I think he bounced back from that. He's got a series title under his belt now. So bygones be bygones. But I think if you said, hey, Spencer, boat racing, log. That's it.
We were just talking about it the other day.
That's it.
I was like,
the first thing that's going to come to his mind is 'cause it doesn't happen often.
He could have won like 3 years straight. You would have been like, yeah.
We have a driver who's since kind of stepped back from Formula One racing, but he's a great guy. Moved down from Illinois to Texas. But if I ask this one, man, boat racing, sure. He's going to know. Nashville 2019.
Yep.
He was running in lane like 8 way outside. They were going 4 wide on a very narrow Cumberland River in downtown Nashville, Tennessee. And he hooked the outer course marker. It wrapped around his prop and shot the boat right up onto the rocks.
Oh, my gosh.
And he had to watch the rest of the race from sitting on his sponson with his boat sitting on rocks.
Oh my gosh.
Which is the last place you want a boat,
That's
right?
why if our fans, you're kind of upset, you have to sit back a little bit off the shore. That's for your safety.
Correct.
Also, please, a reminder, we don't want to see the Spencer Love log story again. So I remind you that, and your family, that if you are down here by the water, please do not throw any objects towards the water nor towards the boats. I ask you, do not throw any objects towards the water or towards the boats.
Yeah, and we hope that there's more of those memories here this year in 2024 because
good memories,
it's funny.
Not logs and shores.
Tim Kraft just came up to me. He goes, "Hey Tom, yeah, it sucked." I bet it did, man. I mean, you're there to race and you had to sit on the rocks. So again, we've all got those stories. That is the family. That is the community. That is tunnel boat racing. That is boat racing in general. That is the American Powerboat Association, and it all stems from getting dunked when you get your first. That first time you win a race, you get dunked into the water, and you don't get it again, right?
No,
I mean,
one time.
Chris Fairchild's won a ton of races. RJ West has run a ton of races,
would
right?
it take to get Chris Fairchild 6 foot, what, 6?
One, me.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I'm a lot bigger than Chris is. Thankfully, he was a lot smaller, and it was a long time ago when his first happened.
I'll have to ask him when I see
his
him
first
next.
was.
Yeah, if you can
Yeah,
remember
I mean,
that
that's one of those great interview questions that you could ask anybody. Hey, have you ever had a first? Because, some of these guys, right, they've never had it yet, right? They haven't.
Yeah.
They've been trying, right? Travis Yates hasn't had one yet.
Yet.
He would love one, right? Yes. I mean, there's a lot of guys out here, maybe not a lot here,
Yeah.
but across boat racing, I mean, how many stock outboard drivers do you know that have never had a first? And they've been around a while.
There's quite a few, actually.
Fifth, sixth, right? Fourth. They live in that mid-pack, right? Again, I try to reference a lot to, like, car racing because we all have cars. Not everybody has a boat. So our dynamics are a bit harder for people to understand. So I try to relate them to things that people see in their mainstream life, right? Well, in Formula One car racing, you have mid-pack teams. And just like there are guys who raced years in Formula One and never got a first. There are guys that raced Formula 3,
at every wedding.
Formula 2, Formula 1, right? And maybe really didn't have more than one or two wins.
Yeah.
But they were always second, third, fourth. And that's what makes the first so special.
Exactly.
Because it's hard to do. And not everybody, there's plenty of people that are going to spend 10, 15 years racing that may never get the opportunity to be thrown in the body of water they raced on because they won for the first time.
Well, let's make that a goal for the end of the weekend. I want to see at least one driver get tossed into the water, not tossed in.
Well, that's going to be, that could be tricky because we got a lot of really good drivers at the top end here that aren't going to allow for the rookies to really do much.
I don't know. Josh Wells.
Yeah, hey.
Just gave one heck of a run for money on that little podium finish. So
right, but I think Josh might have his first already. I mean, because he's been running tri-hulls for a minute now, and he's been pretty good. And so, but Cole Waring.
Yeah.
Briston Sherman,
yeah.
Right? There's a lot of guys out there.
Could you imagine the mullet up on the top of the podium just feathering his head?
I can tell you this. In Grove, Oklahoma, he finished third. I don't know if I've ever seen a more excited human being. He was absolutely ecstatic, right? Because he didn't expect it, right?
Yeah.
He came out and they're like, hey, Cole, you got third. He's like, what? He was so conditioned already that wasn't going to happen, right? Especially being a big guy and boat racing, right? Guys our size, Cole's and I size, boat racing doesn't necessarily compute all that well. Tri-hull, better than most, for sure. But I think the reason you see that beautiful paint wrap, or that wrap on that boat, and the work he's put in, that drive, the point where that additional drive came from was Grove, Oklahoma 2023, because he did something he didn't expect to do, and now he's like a drug. He's chasing that feeling, right, because he wants to get back on the podium. And I would love nothing more than to help shove Cole into the Neches River for a first here in 2024. But it looks like we've got them all lined up. Our winner from qualifying heat number 1 is on the water. We've got all 14 ready to rock and roll down at the north end of the course. Again, we're going to run 2x2 here in this Texas Tri-Hull qualifying heat number 2 here after we switched up our racing program today to try to accommodate for this rough water here on the Neches River. Again, the Tri-Hulls love the rough water. The rougher, the better. Honestly, we could probably race Tri-Hulls in the open ocean, and these guys would love it. This is why you know that all of them have at least a screw loose.
Hey.
At least one. Hey, you've never raced a Tri-Hull, so you don't have a screw loose.
Not yet, but
wow.
Didn't we talk about how Scary Jerry said this was going to be his last year? That means there's an open boat that needs to be taken.
For sure.
Seat. And I'm claustrophobic, so I can't do these formulas. But that's an open cockpit, and that looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. And, hey, you know what? You'd be scary fast because these guys all have about 50 pounds on you. And as you know, weight in boat racing can be your best friend or your worst enemy.
I think I would giggle my way through it, though. That'd be the problem because I have a tendency to do that.
Well, let's take a look at our starting lineup here in the Texas Tri-Hull. Remember, we're flipping that script, so first goes to worst goes to first. After barely getting off the start dock on the inside of row 1, that's the number 37 of Mason Rinker. On the outside of row 1, that's the 56 of Clint Dillard. On the inside of row 1, that's the 63 of Aaron Green. On the outside of row 2, on the outside of row 2 is the DD1 of Andy Miller. Oh, sorry, that's the 54 of Darren Ware. On the inside of row 3, there is the mentioned Jerry Rinker, 80 years young, out here. In the outside of row 3, the DD1 of Andy Miller, the Disney, Oklahoma native. In 7th position off the start pontoon on the inside of row number 4, running for Daybreak's Bar and Grill out of Houma, Louisiana, the number 5 of Ruben Stafford. On the outside of row 4, another part of that Outlaw F1 team out of Richmond, Texas, the 26 of Briston Sherman. And then on the inside of row 5, the 69 of Cole Mullet, wearing on the outside of row 5 his teammate, the 13 of Grant Schubert. So Outlaw in 8, 9, and 10. Here we go. Underway for heat number 2. Can the 37 of Mason Rinker make it back after a brutal qualifying heat number 1?
After his first burst of last weekend, had a gremlin on the last heat, had to come back in, but look at him just charge his way through. Turn number 1, that's bright yellow, 37, but look at them clump up together, and you can see the 17 of Neil Marsh. He's going to make his way through, but he's bumping boats with Ruben Stafford in the number 5.
Yeah, that Ruben Stafford is just standing right in front of him, blocking position, right? Trying to hold him at bay, but right now it's all 37 of Mason Rinker down the north end of the course, swinging it wide out of turn number 1. Trying to keep that speed up, going way wide to the outside. That's the 66 of Aaron Green in the Mean Machine. But the 10 of Jerry Rinker's now moved himself up as he goes side by side with the 63 of Green as they duke it out for second place.
Ruben Stafford trying to thread the needle and come right on in the inside. He's going to jump on the inside of Scary Jerry to take over the second place position. That's Ruben Stafford in the number 5. Here comes Neil Marsh.
Boy, that 17 of Neil Marsh will not be denied. He's going to run that thing like he stole it, come out of turn number 1. As they go down the back straightaway, he sits now up in 3rd position, eyeing up the 5 of Ruben Stafford, but he's got to watch out on his outside hip. There's the 63 of Green and the 56 of Dillard as they sweep their way out of the north end of the course. Whoa, look out, Andy Miller spins out down there in turn number 1. That's the DD1 of Andy Miller, a rookie in 2023. Only his second start here on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series, but looks like he's got it righted and ready to roll again. But man, we see in the background there the 37 of Mason Rinker already out of view. Talk about a total, 180 from qualifying heat number 1 to here in heat number 2.
Yeah, exactly. It looked like he had some issues, so looks like Scary Jerry got a little. He
looks like he got a little scary for his the people on his team as he spun it out down inside the back straightaway. But there's a 37 of Mason Rinker is still way out in front. Now it's the 17 of Neil Marsh in second, followed by the 5 of Ruben Stafford. Nobody seems to have an answer for the 17 of Neil Marsh. It seems like he just kind of picks his way through traffic much better than anybody else here in the Texas Tri-Hall.
Yeah, because you imagine if he was working his way up just on the rolling start in the front, he'd probably already be halfway across this course. But right now, Mason Rinker is your leader in the 37, followed by the 17 of Neil Marsh, Ruben Stafford in the number 5.
And then in 4th is the 56 of Clint Dillard. And then the 26 of Briston Sherman, the 88 of Josh Wells, the 13 of Grant Schubert, the 63 of Aaron Green, and the 69 of Cole Mullet wearing as they make their way 3, 4, and 5 wide through the turn at the north end of the course. But man, is it all about clean water. The 537 of Mason Rinker really figuring out how important that clean water is. Oh no, looks like we got a cowling down here. You're not gonna be able to see it. There it is right in the water, mid-screen. Looks like that's the rear cowling on the 56 of Clint Dillard in that all black Tri-Hall. Hopefully that doesn't get picked up by a prop, because that could surely ruin somebody's afternoon.
Mason Rinker's going to be able to make his way around that prop. Takes a nasty hop going into turn 1, along with Neil Marsh in the 17, the number 5 of Ruben Stafford. 56 comes across the start-finish line, Dillard.
And then here comes the 26 of Briston Sherman, followed by the 88 of Josh Wells. Then it's the 13 of Grant Schubert, the 69 of Cole Mullet wearing, the 63 of Aaron Green, the 10 of Jerry Rinker, and the DD1 of Andy Miller. And rounding out our field here is the 54 of Darren Ware, the 37 of Mason Rinker, putting him a lap down. And you're going to see our leader go fast, turn left just 2 more times. The young man out of Spring, Texas, pushing her hard down the front straightaway, trying to go worst in heat 1 to first in heat number 2. And I think he would have probably done a lot better. They clearly got the gremlins figured out in that 37 all-yellow Rinker racing machine.
We'll have to give him a talk and ask him what happened in that. But whatever he changed, it sure did work, because he is halfway down the backstretch and about ready to take the checkered flag in the 37 all-yellow Mason Rinker.
Yeah, and I don't know what happened to the 17 of Neil Marsh, but he's all fallen all the way back to 4th position. It shows that the 5 of Stafford and the 56 of Dillard are going to take him. And ladies and gentlemen, Taking qualifying heat number 2 out of Spring, Texas, running for McLean Trailers, number 37, Mason Rinker. And in second position, running for Daybreaks Bar and Grill and Mercury Racing, number 5, Ruben Stafford. And rounding out the podium, out of Houston, Texas, the number 56 of Clint Dillard. Neil Marsh not on the podium.
Wow.
I think this is the first time in like 16 tri-hole heats, not just one weekend, but like 4 or 5 weekends in a row where you didn't see the 17 of Neil Marsh on the podium.
It had to have happened in about lap 4 in the backstretch because we kind of lost track of that because we were watching the Cowling, we were watching Mason. Something had to have gone astray back there, so we'll have to find out what happened because that is really unusual out of the Neil Marsh group.
You know, I think with how rough the water is, you know, one little mistake in the corner just gets exaggerated when the water is this rough. More than likely, probably got caught between a couple of guys, made a bad decision. You know, kind of like when you're in traffic, right? You think switching lanes is going to be great, and then all of a sudden, everybody in the lane that you were in just passes you at warp speed.
I just experienced that last Sunday when I was in a hurry, and I was like,
that's how it always works, right?
I know, right? It was like, oh, not going to make it. But, you know, it was a great run by all of these guys, and look at this. Everybody finished right side up.
Wow, that doesn't normally happen in tri-hole. Either somebody gets like a wire jam knocked loose because they went 4 wide in the corner, so they don't go over, but their boat's just dead in the water, so they got to get towed in. Or somebody goes over, like in last heat, the 52 of Tanner Rinker, which Tanner's got to be frustrated. He couldn't even make it out for this heat. He was a healthy scratch as they work on that motor after it getting waterlogged. But yeah, impressive that we saw all who started finished.
I actually watched once when the Rinkers lost a motor, and I was like, I have never seen a boat floating out there with a motor. He's like, oh, no, I got it. It's just sitting inside now instead of on the transom.
Right. All right, well, let's take a look at our field there. Boy, how close was it, right? Obviously, the 37 of Mason Rinker, with a nice 12-second cushion, but from there, 24 to 25, 30 to 33, 34, they're all just a few seconds apart. And it speaks to how competitive the tri-hole division is. You wouldn't think that with somebody winning back-to-back titles, but I think you talk to Neil Marsh, he's like, dude, top to bottom, like anybody can win any heat.
Exactly, like you said, it could just be one false move can bring you from the top to the bottom. And, you know, he's doing great. Neil Marsh is always fun to watch, and it is always fun to watch these kids. I mean, oh, wait, some of them are adults acting as kids out here in tri-halls.
Exactly. Yeah, like the man who lost his motor cowling, Clint Dillard. If you talk to Clint, you'd swear he's like a 14-year-old boy, but in reality, he's like a 45-year-old man. So
they're all in their little toys over here talking and having fun.
Okay. So we got a little bit of a switcheroony here. We're going to bring the 37 of Mason Rinker up here to chat with Kay, my colleague here this weekend and throughout all of 2024. She's going to be joining me all season long. Super excited about that. I love talking, but it's much better when I get to talk with someone else instead of to myself. So excited for that, and so glad to have Kay along. For those of you who don't know, after the Port Neches Riverfest, in about a couple of weeks to a month from now, you go check out on Amazon Prime and Speed Sport 1, and you're going to find a produced television show of the Port Neches Riverfest and the opening round of the Formula One Powerboat Championship. So make sure you check out Speed Sport 1, our new TV partner for 2024. Not only do we have the live streams on our YouTube channel So make sure you check us out on all our social media platforms at F1 Powerboat Racing, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you follow us on Instagram. Your allegiance and to our series helps us greatly gather sponsors and continue to bring you this top quality, high octane racing week in and week out for years to come. As it looks like the 37 of Mason Rinker is getting got out of his boat here, and he's going to be joined up here on the judges stand by our color commentator, Kay Myers. But what a great race that was. Phenomenal job by the 37 of Mason Rinker. He really turned it around after a brutal qualifying heat number 1. He's back here for heat number 2, and what a run it was as he went wire to wire from inside of row 1 to capture victory and valuable points necessary if he's going to try to knock off the 17 of Neil Marsh.
All right, we always love watching the tri-halls, and I've watched you for many years. You finished last weekend top of the podium. What happened on their first heat? All of a sudden we were like, where did Mason go?
We did a little bit too much bumping, not enough racing. I took a pretty good hit to the cowling, knocked me out down to probably 3 cylinders if I had to guess. We got it fixed up in the pits, got back out there, got a first place start and first place finish, so that works out well.
You went out back on this heat. You did great. You won by, I don't know, I think we figured it out, 12-second lead. You seem surprised by that. Why would you be surprised by that? I mean, we saw some work being done on the motor as you came in. What happened?
Well, can't tell you exactly, but I was getting a little nervous. I saw that blue boat of Neil Marsh creeping up on me those last couple laps, and luckily I didn't get caught up in any of that traffic, and we were able to keep that lead. So got to hopefully keep him behind us the rest of the weekend.
He seems like the person that's got the target on him, but don't you realize you have the target because a win last weekend, a win on this heat by 12 seconds with a broken motor. Didn't you say that your trim was messed up?
Yep, I ran that whole race with no trim, so basically had her all the way down, running her as hard as she could.
So, boys and girls, tri-haul drivers, your new target is now right here, Rinker Boat World. You got a win last weekend. Unfortunately, he had a gremlin on the first heat of the tri-haul, but top podium. Congratulations. Great heat. We're looking forward to seeing you later on today.
Awesome. Thank y'all.
Good job. Good job.
All right, race fans. Well, again, like I've mentioned in the past, this is a commercial river with commercial traffic. And those refineries and all the other commercial traffic that you know, make this community great and put a lot of money into this community, we've got to allow them to move that traffic up and down the river. It's also going to allow us to give a little time, hopefully let this wind lay down so we can bring our Formula lights and our Formula One. So we're going to take a quick break here. We're going to be back at 3:45 p.m. So it's just about 3 o'clock. So you got a little over 45 minutes. Make sure you get down, get yourself an ice cold beverage from the great folks at Papa Distributing. Check out the Midway. We've got all the great foods, everything on a stick. I'm going to be down there. I'm the big giant guy in a white shirt that's got an F1 Powerboat logo on. Come down, say hi. I'd love to meet everybody. I'm going to go down and grab myself a quick bite to eat. We'll be back with more racing at 3:45 Central here at the opening round of the 2024 Formula One Powerboat Championship Series. It's the 23rd annual Port Neches Riverfest.
Mercury Racing was forged in the heat of competition. The will to win is in our DNA. Competition isn't just what we do, it's our proving ground. It's about the pursuit of power, performance, and endurance that pushes our limits and yours. We create premium marine power to take you faster and farther. The world offers limits. Mercury Racing offers freedom. Live wide open.
Save this spring at Classic Kia and pay nothing till summer. Save thousands on the new Forte for only $19,596. Or the award-winning Sportage for only $26,875. Save today, pay nothing till summer, only at Classic Kia.
We know how important it is being neighbors. When we go to work every day, we're working for our families, for our schools, our kids, and local businesses and neighborhoods. For Southeast Texas, our roots are strong, and we're moving forward, innovating world-class financial tools for the folks here at home. We live local. We give local. And we're not going anywhere. Neches Federal Credit Union. Family, friends, community.
Bring the whole family out and enjoy 5 days of fun on the river when Neches Federal Credit Union presents the Port Neches Riverfest. May 1st through May 5th. Enjoy live thunder on the river, powerboat racing at its best. From the banks of the Neches River at Port Neches Riverfront Park. Check out 5 days of carnival rides and daily ride wristbands available. There will be live entertainment, great food and drinks, games, and fun for the whole family. It's the Port Neches Riverfest, Wednesday, May 1st through Sunday, May 5th. For more info, visit pnriverfest.com.
Why choose Classic? Because we're a local, family-owned dealership selling American brands at the best prices in town.
Hi, I'm Ben Case, General Manager at Classic, where our goal is to treat you like family.
Classic, Southeast Texas.
Bring the whole family out and enjoy 5 days of fun on the river when Neches Federal Credit Union presents the Port Neches Riverfest. May 1st through May 5th. Enjoy live thunder on the river, powerboat racing at its best. From the banks of the Neches River at Port Neches Riverfront Park. Check out 5 days of carnival rides and daily ride wristbands available. There will be live entertainment, great food and drinks, games, and fun for the whole family. It's the Port Neches Riverfest, Wednesday, May 1st through Sunday, May 5th. For more info, visit pnriverfest.com.
Formula One powerboats are sleek, glamorous, lightweight, and extremely maneuverable, with a power-to-weight ratio among the highest in all motorsports. Their performance speaks for itself, accelerating from 0 to 100 miles an hour in under 5 seconds, keeping it on par with a Formula One car. Top speeds in excess of 120 miles an hour while making 180-degree corners at 100 miles an hour, pulling 7 Gs in the process, making them the hardest-turning race vehicle in the world. Formula One powerboat competition begins with a 20-boat field lined up at the start pontoon, with their engines silent, awaiting the modified Le Mans start. At the drop of a flag, the world-class drivers ignite these rockets to life, and their engines roar. Rooster tails shoot thousands of gallons of water as they simultaneously accelerate towards the first turn. This spectator-friendly racing on tight courses made up of right and left-hand hairpin turns with various straightaways provide deck-to-deck racing action front and center for the fans in the viewing area. No 2 laps are the same due to the ever-changing wind and water conditions, making an F1 boat one of the most challenging racing machines to conquer on the planet. The Formula One Powerboat Championship is an 8-race series contested across North America from May to October. Established in 2017, the series features weekend-long community events highlighted by the Formula One boats capable of speeds in excess of 120 miles an hour. Along with support classes of Tri-Hull and Formula Lights, the family-friendly, up-close and personal sponson-banging competition creates thrills rarely experienced by motorsport racing fans. U.S. powerboat racing heritage began in 1903, formation of the national governing body, the American Powerboat Association, that still governs today. Formula One racing for the last 6 decades has been the pinnacle classification in powerboat racing, recognized as one of the world's most spectacular racing vehicles. The F1 boat's lightning-quick acceleration combined with its razor-sharp turns, creating the unique non-stop action on the water. The races are more than a series of one-day events. They have evolved into marquee, multi-interest, weekend-long community festivals. Formula One Powerboat Championship Series produces some of the largest entertainment events in the major markets they visit, attracting tourism dollars to the local economy, while entertaining huge global audience. Large on-site event attendance and coupled with mass media exposure through various channels regionally, nationally, and internationally, our live streaming programs give each event global reach on various social and traditional channels, reaching millions of fans. Formula One powerboats are sleek, glamorous, lightweight, and extremely maneuverable, with a power-to-weight ratio among the highest in all of motorsports. Their performance speaks for itself. Acceleration from 0 to 100 miles an hour in under 5 seconds. Top speeds in excess of 120. Cornering at 100 miles an hour, all while pulling 7 Gs in the process. The competition begins with a field of 20 boats lined up in the start pontoon. Engines silent, awaiting the modified Le Mans start. When the green flag drops, these world-class drivers ignite their rockets to life. Engines roaring and rooster tails flying, they simultaneously accelerate towards the first turn. With tight courses close to the shoreline, made up of right and left-hand turns that offer deck-to-deck, heart-pounding action and guarantee fans up close and front and center views, no 2 laps are the same due to the ever-changing wind and water conditions, making the F1 boat one of the most challenging racing machines to conquer on the planet. Founded in 2017, the Formula One Powerboat Championship is an 8-race series contested across North America, featuring weekend-long community events highlighted by the Formula One boats and supporting classes. U.S. powerboat racing's 120-year heritage began with the formation of its governing body, the American Powerboat Association. For the last 6 decades, Formula One powerboats have been the pinnacle classification in powerboat racing. Recognized as one of the world's most spectacular racing vehicles, these events have evolved into more than a series of one-day races, developing into marquee, multi-interest, weekend-long community festivals, producing some of the largest entertainment events in major markets, attracting tourism dollars, benefiting the local economies, while delighting the global audience. Large on-site event attendance is coupled with mass media exposure through various channels, regionally, nationally, and globally. Our live streaming programs give each event international reach on various social and traditional channels, reaching millions of fans. Our marketing partners enjoy outstanding return on investment with our unique sport and custom flexible approach of the Formula One Powerboat Championship.
Mercury Racing was forged in the heat of competition. The will to win is in our DNA. Competition isn't just what we do, it's our proving ground. It's about the pursuit of power, performance, and endurance that pushes our limits and yours. We create premium marine power to take you faster and farther. The world offers limits. Mercury Racing offers freedom. Live wide open.
The whole family out and enjoy 5 days of fun on the river when Neches Federal Credit Union presents the Port Neches Riverfest. May 1st through May 5th. Enjoy live thunder on the river, powerboat racing at its best. From the banks of the Neches River at Port Neches Riverfront Park. Check out 5 days of carnival rides and daily ride wristbands available. There will be live entertainment, great food and drinks, games, and fun for the whole family. It's the Port Neches Riverfest, Wednesday, May 1st through Sunday, May 5th. For more info, visit pnriverfest.com.
Formula One powerboats are sleek, glamorous, lightweight, and extremely maneuverable, with a power-to-weight ratio among the highest in all motorsports. Their performance speaks for itself, accelerating from 0 to 100 miles an hour in under 5 seconds, keeping it on par with a Formula One car. Top speeds in excess of 120 miles an hour while making 180-degree corners at 100 miles an hour, pulling 7 Gs in the process, making them the hardest-turning race vehicle in the world. Formula One powerboat competition begins with a 20-boat field lined up at the start pontoon, with their engines silent, awaiting the modified Le Mans start. At the drop of a flag, the world-class drivers ignite these rockets to life, and their engines roar. Rooster tails shoot thousands of gallons of water as they simultaneously accelerate towards the first turn. This spectator-friendly racing on tight courses made up of right and left-hand hairpin turns with various straightaways provide deck-to-deck racing action front and center for the fans in the viewing area. No 2 laps are the same due to the ever-changing wind and water conditions, making an F1 boat one of the most challenging racing machines to conquer on the planet. The Formula One Powerboat Championship is an 8-race series contested across North America from May to October. Established in 2017, the series features weekend-long community events highlighted by the Formula One boats capable of speeds in excess of 120 miles an hour. Along with support classes of Tri-Hull and Formula Lights, the family-friendly, up-close and personal sponson-banging competition creates thrills rarely experienced by motorsport racing fans. U.S. powerboat racing heritage began in 1903, formation of the national governing body, the American Powerboat Association, that still governs today. Formula One racing for the last 6 decades has been the pinnacle classification in powerboat racing, recognized as one of the world's most spectacular racing vehicles. boast. The F1 boat's lightning-quick acceleration combined with its razor-sharp turns, creating the unique non-stop action on the water. The races are more than a series of one-day events. They have evolved into marquee, multi-interest, weekend-long community festivals. Formula One Powerboat Championship Series produces some of the largest entertainment events in the major markets they visit, attracting tourism dollars to the local economy, while entertaining huge global audience. Large on-site event attendance and coupled with mass media exposure through various channels regionally, nationally, and internationally, our live streaming programs give each event global reach on various social and traditional channels, reaching millions of fans.
Welcome back, race fans. We are here for the 2024 Port Neches Riverfest. I'm here with RJ West of Composite Crafts Racing, along with Chuck Skelton Racing in the 93. You went out there in the water, did a lot of testing. What all were you testing for?
Really just trying to get the feel of the course. It's always a little bit different to where they put the buoys down and stuff like that. So I'm out there just trying to get comfortable and learn my marks. And then at that point, after that, we start doing a little bit of prop testing and try to see what direction we need to go to be fast.
Well, you're one of the lucky ones that gets to work hand in hand, not only with Mercury Racing, but DeWald Props. That combination makes you right up there on the top podium pretty much every weekend.
Well, Dave's a good friend of mine. I was literally on the phone with him when I got back to the trailer. But to be honest, our R&D actually helps everybody here because they get to get the same props we got. There's no preference here, so that's how it works.
Yes, but working with Mercury, you've done a lot of changes over the last few years. Give us some insight on what they have done to help you be successful.
Well, it's a big deal. We've ran 3 different motor combinations in the last 3 years, and they've been trying to hone on to make it work with the 2-stroke motors as well to be equal. And so now we're on a whole new platform here with a V8, an actual production V8 under the cowling. Seems to be really competitive. I think it's going to be a really interesting weekend.
Well, last year you ended off with a very good year. You've already started off this season with a great win down in Parker, Arizona, and now we're already seeing you out there, and you were fast out there in testing.
Well, they don't give trophies out for testing, so we're going to work hard. I mean, we're going to work as hard as we can and just try to be competitive.
Well, good luck for the rest of the weekend. RJ West of the 93 Composite Craft, Chuck Skelton Racing. Welcome back, race fans. We are here for the 2024 Riverfest here at Port Neches. I was able to catch up to Mr. Chris Fairchild of the 62. Chris, 2 boats here. What's going on?
I'm hard on equipment. The last time we had the green and gray one in the water, we blew the bottom out of it. We sort of rigged the all gray one in a hurry. So now we're back with 2 boats because they both float, and I guess Kevin doesn't want to get out of here with 2 perfectly ready rigs. So we're going to go see what's up.
Well, of the 2, which one do you feel more comfortable in? That's the big question.
I never spend much time in either one of them. So which one do I feel is going to be the fastest one? Well, I feel it's going to be the gray one, but I've won big races in both of them. So time will tell. We're going to go have some fun.
Well, the weather here has just been a little bit iffy, and I know you like to ride it on the edge out there on this river. And, give us your driver's aspect of running down the river when you've got all the different currents.
I've raced at Port Neches for many years. I've had about a year off from racing, so naturally I'm a little older, I'm a little rustier. So we'll see how it all comes back to me. But the river really, because there aren't a lot of tributaries in the place where the race course is at, we don't have a lot of current. It's a shipping channel, so it's an extremely deep channel. So what's going on the bottom doesn't necessarily affect the surface. Like motocross racing, like car racing, the surface is everything. With boat racing, the bottom of the river is everything, and the bottom of the river and that current flow affects what the surface is doing. We don't have too much of that here. If the wind picks up because we got the storm front in and the water gets rough and nasty, that's one of the biggest problems here. Wind picks up, the water gets nasty, and when it comes down the boat ramp, you got a gust right at the end of the straightaway to picture right up off the water. So it should be exciting.
Well, you've been here just a few times, and what is your favorite part about coming here to the Riverfest?
Oh, that's easy, the people. The people. There's no better town. There's no better group of people. You come here, the barbecues at night, the way the fan base here in Port Neches loves you. That's my favorite part. We have a very good time in Port Neches. Win, lose, or swim, we have a good time in Port Neches.
Well, hopefully you'll keep your feet dry. That's the whole point of this weekend. You got 2 boats to go test. Testing's going to be starting here, and we got qualifying and heat races. Good luck to you this weekend. Chris Fairchild.
I appreciate you. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
All right, race fans, Thomas Yarbrough bringing you back here. I got an update for everybody. I know that wind doesn't look too bad, but with, I don't know, a foot of rain that you guys got here in the last day and the current of the river heading south, along with the wind currents heading north, it's, as you saw earlier, it caused a pretty tricky race conditions out there. It may not look at it right now, but once you get the boats out there moving, it's really going to start to churn up that water. So unfortunately, we're going to have to extend the wind hold about 30, 45 minutes. We're hoping that wind's going to lay down or slightly change direction. We do apologize for this. This is unfortunately one of the things you got to deal with when you race outdoors in Mother Nature and water versus a cement or tar track or even a dirt track. It's tricky, but we're going to need about another 30, 45 minutes. I'm looking at my clock here. We're at 3:57, so we're going to try to come back at 4:45 and resume racing action, try to get into the rest of today's schedule. And so I'm going to be back here in a little bit. Make sure you swing down the midway, grab an ice cold beverage, grab all the great food, bring the kids, hit a kiddie ride. We'll be back here in a little bit as we extend this wind hold out just a little bit longer here at the opening round of the 2024 Formula One Powerboat Championship Series here at the 23rd Annual Port Neches Riverfest. All right, race fans, Thomas Yarbrough back with you here. Unfortunately, a little sooner than I wanted to, but we just got word from the Coast Guard that's sitting down upriver, and we've got whitecaps rolling in. The wind is not going to die down, and unfortunately, due to the severe amount of water that's flowing down south through the Neches River right now, we want to be able to put on a final for you tomorrow. We want to have the big races tomorrow, and we are very concerned that if we ran today, we would lose so many boats, we would destroy so many boats that we wouldn't be able to put on a show tomorrow. So regrettably, we are going to have to make the tough decision to push our program to tomorrow. So we're going to have a jammed Sunday here at the Neches, at the Riverfest here in Port Neches. But for the rest of the afternoon, I know it doesn't necessarily look it right here in the judges stand, but if you look upriver, there's white caps. We're getting reports that that the water is just too rough for these, extremely expensive, extremely fast boats to be out on the water. I think you'd see even more carnage than we saw earlier. And Kay, this is probably the worst part of the job is to have to tell fans that we got to stop racing on a day. But we said earlier you can't finish first if you don't first finish, and it's hard to put on a race on Sunday if you can't get anybody on the water on Sunday.
That just means tomorrow is going to be extremely packed. So I just tell all of our friends and family out here and all the fans, when you go home tonight, just remember tomorrow is going to be packed full of racing. So bring your friends and bring your neighbors. Come on back down tomorrow. We'll be starting up again in the morning. Also, I've seen them around. There's T-shirts for sale down there. We also have our T-shirts for the Formula One. Make sure you go see those. And I think I'm going to go get me some of that gator that we were talking about.
Yeah, gator on a stick. They got shrimp on a stick, everything on a stick. They got fried Oreos. Those Amish donuts are off the chain.
Good.
So good, right?
Yes.
So good. Lemonade, limeade, all the great ice-cold adult beverages brought to you by Papa Distributing, or by Del Papa Distributing. This is not fun, but we apologize. But unfortunately, racing for the rest of the day is going to be postponed until tomorrow. We tentatively right now our schedule's at 10 a.m. Don't be surprised if we maybe start a little earlier than that. The easiest way to find out what racing is going to start tomorrow morning and get all your updates is check us out on our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, at F1 Powerboat Racing. You can also check us out on YouTube where you can see the live stream from earlier today's racing action as well as all the racing tomorrow. And make sure you download in the future Speed Sport 1. We're going to have fully produced hour-long television programs starting on Speed Sport 1 here within the next month or so. So keep your eye out for that. But make sure you check us out on all our socials. Make sure you smash that like button. Share out the content. Let all your friends know what you were doing here, seeing some cool boat racing here on this Saturday afternoon. Wish we could have given you guys a little bit more of it. But, Kay, I think we might need to go home and massage the vocal cords because it's going to be a long day on the mic tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. Well, I'm going to be doing that. But after I go up and go get my gator and maybe I want to go for a spin on one of those rides.
Hey, you know what? You do that. I'm going to those days of my life are over. But it's been a pleasure. Final race is starting tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central. We'll see you then. This concludes Saturday racing at the opening round of the 2024 Formula One Powerboat Championship Series here at the 23rd Annual Port Neches Riverfest.